All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about identity. So you already presented to the girls
Yes.
when we were open before this pandemic, but I wanted to make sure that all the speakers who have already spoke still got a chance to record because the information is very valuable. So in regards to identity, and especially now that we're going through this pandemic, what advice could you give these students? Because now their identities are coming out more because they're home.
Yes.
Parents are going to start seeing identities that they didn't see before because the children were in school. So there were certain things that they didn't see. And also siblings. So now is like a shift in the homes, and this is who they were before, but what can we talk about as far as identity to make sure that number one, we don't lose it in this pandemic as adults too. And then number two, that if there are some things that need to be tuned up, we work on that.
We have to all take this time out to self-evaluate. Mm-hmm. Even if we have to do a who, when, and where, we need to self-evaluate of who we are and who we are, stripped of all our titles, all our extras, and just who we are inside and whose we are. And we have to keep God in the front. That's one of the things that I wasn't able to speak upon because we was in a school environment, but I wanted to speak upon now that you have to keep God inside and know whose you are and knowing who gave us life. The Bible teaches us that, and these young people have to realize they have to be able to be sure of who they are. Don't be one thing for one person and one thing for somebody else. It's really who you are, and whoever you are and whatever you're struggling with. And if you don't feel like you could talk to nobody, you could talk to God.
Right. And that's very important, especially because, like I said, there were so many shifts. Like a child could be one way at school and at home a whole different way. So that's why when you have some of these parents that's like, my child was doing what? Not my kid.
Right, right. Because they act different ways.
Yes.
They quiet at home, and now that parents are actually becoming parents, staying home with their children 24/7. The work was an outlet for the parents, and school was an outlet for the children. They was able to hang around their peers, be laid back. If they was having issues with their homosexuality or their sexuality, they was able to express it more with their friends.
Right.
Now parents is hearing conversations that I know they wasn't privy to before this epidemic. And if they like me, they're looking through the phone more because you have more time to look through phones, and they're seeing that the identity that they're seeing is shocking, which is, I think, one of the reasons why this pandemic had taken place, for everybody to sit back and really evaluate what's going on with them and their household. Right. And your job, knowing your worth, you get to see now, are you really essential or are you really just working?
Right. Because I thought about that too, especially when it comes to identity in the workplace, because these kids, they're going to grow up, they're going to work. And I looked at that essentials list on what's essential and what's not. And it was just like, just to see that, although we're doing this Zoom stuff, with learning and everything, that I know schools have a lot of people in them. So yes, we have to shut these things down, but to see that school is not an essential.
Right. Which means that
I was kind of like, okay, I get it, because there, high schools, elementary is going to be more than 10 people. It's going to be more than 50 people. But I was like, is there a way we could have prepared better so that, number one, these kids still could, because communication and being with one another is a part of your developmental growth, and especially as children. Like, I was sharing in the other Zooms that it was heartbreaking to me that I had to explain to my 5-year-old, LJ, he's doing his work on the computer, and he's like, okay, I'm ready for Zoom. And I'm like, we on spring break, there's no Zoom. We just making sure that we don't have no work that's left behind and stuff. And he's like, I miss my teachers. I miss my friends. And I'm like, I'm like, oh my goodness. So to see that school is essential enough to do it at home, but it's not essential to keep it open. And I'm just like, how do we better prepare for that? Because we, one, don't want children to go into identity crisis at a young age, because now their social emotional is kind of
is being conflicted with, deeply
altered.
Yes, because children need their own peers to be able to have some type of outlet in their age range. Even though children are at home with siblings, those are still not the ranges unless they perhaps be twins or triplets. But in most households, that's not true. So they have to learn how to now facilitate all the time. It's not just, okay, we see each other after school, okay, we have a break together. It's all the time, constant, and that's a lot.
And I was saying yesterday, I said it's crazy because we all talked about how for years, I even know when I was growing up, it was always, I'm a full-time parent.
Yeah.
I'm a full-time parent. And I looked at that, I was like, yo, we've never been full-time. We've been part-time parents. We've been part-time parents the whole time.
Right.
I'm like, oh my goodness. And throughout this whole thing, not just as far as children and youth finding their identity, I was finding more of my identity too.
Exactly.
Because, and then not only that, your identity within the home unit. And I don't think a lot of people realize that you have an identity at school, you have an identity at home, you have an identity at work, you have, and when you don't deal with, because you're so used to the hustle and bustle, and even these kids, some of these kids, you know, they wake up at ungodly hours in the morning because they got to catch the school bus at 6:45. Like these kids are not getting proper sleep. So now for this to be, it wasn't like it was gradual. This was just like ripped away. Like, okay, boom, this date, y'all got to stay home, effective immediately. Boom, we shut
that's what the world is doing. That's what we have to realize, to tap into what we know how to do, what we can do, even with our own hands. I'm learning that now. I made things that I haven't made a vase in years. But because I had time, I sat down and said, I'm gonna make these for my house, which I already had the flowers, already had all the equipment, but never had the time. I've actually been reading the Bible, but this is time for people, y'all young people, take time out for yourself. I read your book, My Niece, the first time. I never had time to actually sit and read a book.
And I'm actually going to be starting a book club. I'm going to be starting a book club also, because I realized that too, with especially breakthrough spiritual weight loss from strongholds.
That's what I read.
Before we go out back into the world, there's some things that we need to deal with that is in that identity that we need to strip away. There's some good stuff and there's some bad stuff. So I said I wanted to do a breakthrough book club where people who don't have the book, and then for people who have the book, I want to do a 10-day where we deal with each chapter one day, because a lot of identities could be healed out of this.
Yes.
Because there's some things that, some strongholds, some generational curses that are attached to our identity and that don't need to be there. And one of the things that I had posted a couple of weeks ago was about get your house in order, because like I said, you know, we have identities in the home, even as children, you know, each youth, or whether it's one youth, two youth, whatever, each child in the home, they have an identity too. They play a role. And I said, you know what, my identity in a household, I was always doing this, doing that. Okay, I'm going to work. I'm doing this. I'm going to dance practice. I'm doing this. So the kids, they getting up early in the morning to go to school. Then they at school all day. Then we got Bible study. Then we got dance practice. Then we got this. Then we got that. And it's just so much. And you can really get lost.
The world is too chaotic.
You can get lost in who you really, really, really are. Because just like you said with the vases, I sat here and I started going through stuff in my house, my creative identity started coming back out. Because it started getting lost somewhere in all of this.
All of this stuff going on.
Yeah. So I sat down and I was like, LJ room looks so plain to me. And I'm like, as a boy, I'm used to decorating all girl stuff. And girl stuff is just easy to me. So I just always just like, but I'm like, he liked cars. I'm like, okay, I did the Lego thing for the daycare. And I said, I want to use the same stuff because I still have it. But I was like, that's not his identity.
Right.
So as parents too, we need to learn how to not force certain things on these kids, because we force some identities on these kids that I could go throw up a whole Lego room because I have the stuff, but is that what he likes?
Right.
And this is also the time to get to know the youth that are in your home a little more and know what they like versus what we like. Because I know I grew up in a house, where you do what I say, that's what I say, that's what this would go, blah, 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 that's it. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If there was, you may have got popped upside your lip. You know what I'm saying? So identity is very important to these youth. So back to what I was saying, the scripture that I had posted was about get your house in order. And it was based off of 2 Kings 21:2. Because this is the perfect time dealing with the different identities and everything. And so the scripture it was talking about Hezekiah. So in those days, Hezekiah became ill and was near death. The prophet Isaiah and the son of Amos came to him and said to him, thus saith the Lord, set your house in order, for you shall die and not live. And then he said, he turned his face toward the wall and prayed to the Lord, saying, please, O Lord, remember how I have walked before you faithfully with you, with an undivided heart, and have done what's good in your sight. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. Get your house in order, right? And this message was a message from God through the prophet Isaiah to King Hezekiah, who was sick unto death, which is what we're going through right now. Yeah. People are getting sick. People are dying. And what a message to deliver when people are going through certain things. But people got to realize that, yes, we're going through this pandemic and we're not going to make light of the situation, because people like close to me, I know, that have had it, they've recovered. Some did not make it. And, now you're starting to see more people testimonies, even people who you may have known of or may have been close with at one point. You're seeing their personal testimonies. So I definitely want people to pay attention, and especially the youth, to not neglect this time. Because they have a house too. We're not physically always talking about your house, but your identity is a part of your house.
Yes.
So get your stuff in order, even as a youth. Because I know when I was younger, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew a lot of direction I wanted to go. But if the youth don't learn how to sit down and sit still and write certain things out. My main scripture when I was young, write it down, make it plain. These kids don't know nothing about write it down, make it plain, because we got tablets and phones and all kinds of stuff. So everything is electronical. And it's like, I'm teaching minds that write it down. Write what you want to do. Sit down and focus. Focus on who you are, who God says you are, and who you see yourself becoming. So that way you have a clear identity and you don't get lost. I was just talking to my pastor's wife, and I said, this is the time for parents to hone in too, because we'll quickly say, I didn't raise my kid like that. But guess what? When they go out to school, there's so many other identities. So now they're trying to fit in to someone else's identity. And it's like, now we got to make sure, don't lose you no matter what.
Don't lose you. Yes, my scripture was, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. That's what I want people to do at this time. Any advice is just renew your mind.
Right.
Forget what everything else is going on. You got time now to renew your mind, get your mind in order so that your house can be in order.
Right.
Get your mindset straight, write your visions down. Don't do a vision board to make it look cute. Write down what you want, 3 big things, and how you're going to try to achieve them before this year's out. Because this year, 2020 was the year of the vision. All he did was make us sit down and to really take time to get our vision in order. People say, I thought 2020 was going to be here. Yes, it was it. It just wasn't how we thought it was going to be. God did it. He said, let y'all do it too long by yourselves. I'm going to sit y'all down and y'all going to renew the mind so that y'all can get your houses in order. So that by the end of this year, things can be already in order. Things you took for granted. Things that you took, lightly of. And I'm talking about me because I can't talk about nobody else. Took for granted of. This precious time. And now I'm realizing I have to renew my mind to get my mind right, things that I should have did. Now I can't say I don't have no time or I got to work. Those are no longer excuses.
That's what I said. Oh, and I came across somebody's book cover the other day looking through my files.
I'm going to do it. Don't give up.
Speaking of, I said, oh, I came across somebody's book cover file. I said,
I gotta get that printed out. I think I need that cover printed out so I can look at it.
I had to blow it up because I'm like, oh, this is a nice book cover. What book cover is this?
I'm going to do it.
You need to print it out, and don't worry. I got you. I'm going to send it to the printer.
Oh, my God. See y'all.
Make sure it's printed out in front of you, because that was one of the things that I started doing too, as far as identity and vision, because I said the same thing too. I was like, look, God said it's 2020 vision. This is the perfect vision. But guess what? If you're trying to get perfect vision, I thought about when I had did a message a while ago when I had went to the eye doctor. And I was so ticked off because, mind you, the eye doctor is only it's in PA, but it's not that far, but it's not close because it's PA and we're in Delaware. But when you look at it, it's only 18 minutes away. It's up there where Fresh Grocer is at.
All right.
I think, no, not Fresh Grocer. What's that, the place where you get all the fruits and vegetables?
Whole Foods?
No, it's the same thing in Dover.
I don't know.
Produce Junction.
Okay.
So it's out there where Produce Junction is. And I went out there to get my eyes checked, and the doctor told me that she couldn't do my vision right then. And I was like, why? She was like, because you have dry eye. And I was like, I was so upset. I was like, I never had dry eye before. So what are you talking about? She was like, well, listen, I want you to take these drops for 7 days and then come back. She said, do the drops twice or 3 times a day or whatever. And I'm like, I never had this issue before. I always go to the eye doctor, blah, blah, blah. I'm just fussing because we know I'm a fuss box at times. So I am fussing because I'm tired. I'm like, I came all the way up here. Wasn't even far. But I'm like, I came all the way up here. You mean to tell me I got to come back? And I'm acting like I done paid a toll, 30 minutes, and all this other kind of stuff. I ain't even do none of that. But it brings me back to today. We all said this was the year of perfect vision, but we complaining about the fact that we're in a pandemic. Number one, we're still alive, so we need to be thankful. And number two, if this is the year of 2020 vision, don't you think in order to have the perfect vision, some things have to be corrected?
Yes.
So with that being said, she told me I needed to wear these eye drops. I needed to use these eye drops 3 times a day for 7 days and then come back. Hello, God is like, listen, I'm going to shut everything down for a certain amount of time so y'all could get into a routine of certain things that need to be done on a daily basis. So this way, when you come out, you can move forward to where you need to go. That way you can see clearly. So I went back, got my eyes checked, and she was like, okay, I could do it. So she corrected my vision, made sure I had the right prescription for my glasses and my contact. And I asked her, I said, why did I need to do that? And she said, because if you had not, and I still would have did your vision test, your prescription would have been off.
Yep. Yep.
So people and youth need to understand that don't take this lightly. Let this help you, because if we don't let this correct our identity and who we are, then we're going to be off. We're going to keep going out in the world doing the same things, same dead-end jobs, knowing that we were called to more, and we over here waiting on a paycheck. And it's like, no, that's not where I want you. God is clearly like, this is where I want you doing what you need to be doing, so that, because at the end of the day, all it's about is getting delivered, healed, and set free. And a lot of the youth need deliverance.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
It's not about all these behavioral problems and all that. No, it is deliverance. There's certain things that have attached themselves to this children's identity, and they need deliverance. So I am very excited about the Zoom today, especially talking to them about identity. Is there anything else you want to talk to the youth about before we wrap it up?
Okay, maybe let me get this up, because I had it. Y'all don't know I'm not that savvy, but that's what this is allowing me to. This is allowing me to get on the internet, learning different things, because I'm not computer savvy, and it's forcing, because everything is through the computer.
Right. It forced me too.
Girl, you was built for this.
Yeah, but as tech savvy as I am, I'm a procrastinator. So I procrastinate with things. So this has literally forced me to do and show the stuff that I've been hiding.
Right.
Identity. Again, I've been suppressing certain things because I'm like, nah, but nah, it's just like forcing me to like, boom, let's go.
It is. But in closing, above all else, guard your heart, for it is wellspring of life. Proverbs 4:23. Just guard your heart and open your ears, open your eyes, and see what God wants you to see and hear what God wants you to hear, so that you could go through this and anything else in life, knowing who you are and whose you are, and knowing your identity.
And that's the most important part, because without knowing who we are, we're not going to go far.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really not. So I want to thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, this is another Secure the Seed episode, and I have Ms. Nisi Tribbett here from Kids Got Talent too, and we're going to talk about your talents during this pandemic, how it's easy to just forget what you have on the inside of you, but we want to make sure that as youth, you don't. We want to encourage you to make sure that you use this time wisely and perfect your gifts. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Nisi.
First of all, I'd like to say, hey, how you doing? And thank you for having me on, Shanika.
I'm so excited.
And I want you to know that even though I represent Nisi T's Kids Biz, I'm representing y'all today. Let me put that up.
Oh, she got on the shirt. Yes! I wanted to wear my shirt, but I figured, I wear it enough.
Yeah.
So I said, let me just, do a little, sprinkle a little glam on it.
Yeah. Give me a chance to wear it.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to be here, and I appreciate you considering me to do this. I mean, like, wow, this is just great. This is right down my vein. I love kids. I love talented kids, and that's what Nisi T's Kids Biz is all about. Getting the young creative entrepreneurs and cultivating and nurturing them so that if it is them in the future, they'll have a strong foundation.
Right.
But today, while we are out here, well, not out here, we're in here, we're at the house. We at the house.
Quarantine streets.
Quarantine streets. The quarantine, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God, we shut in. You hear me? We shut in. It's, for some people, it's traumatic. For others, listen, take this time. I'm talking to the kids, y'all. You got to take this time to cultivate what you have. And the thing is, it's like, what are you going to do when this is over?
Right.
Who are you going to be when this is over? You know, if I'm asking you this because if somebody give you an opportunity to do what you love to do, if somebody give an opportunity, a platform, a stage, and say, girl, it's yours, go. What you gonna do? You know, you got all these talents. You sing, you dance, or you make things. I'm getting to that later. But you know, what we have been given, girl, Shanika, we have been given the opportunity to practice, rehearse, do everything. We have all the time in the world, you know, and whatever your thing is, you should be working on it right now. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Right.
Stay away from them peanut butter jelly sandwiches. Get out of that refrigerator. Put that
That's a hard one for me. That refrigerator is hard because I made that a part of my daily workout routine. Open, close. I said, oh my goodness, I gotta get away from the refrigerator.
Somebody said we need a mask for the house.
Yes. And then the kids, I thought that I'm like, these kids eat more than I thought. I'm like, every time you turn around, mommy, I'm hungry. I'm like, if y'all don't get in there and practice some dance moves or something, or go viral on TikTok, like, let's go. They want to eat.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh,
burn off some of that energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not hungry, you're just bored.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But what we should be doing now, as you're saying, take those gifts, y'all, and just like an artist, any celebrity that you admire, they did not get there overnight. They practice. I'm talking hours upon hours upon hours. I was saying on our radio show, I do a radio show with Hezekiah Walker, and I was telling him that I was so glad that this year didn't happen in the days I was raising my kids. Baby, because
when I was younger,
my boys would have drove me crazy. Now here's the thing, guys, y'all got schoolwork to do, and most of the time, most kids, you get that schoolwork done first thing in the morning so you can have all day to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
I know my boys, as you all know, I have a son named Ty Tribbett and another son named Thaddeus. Thaddeus plays the bass, and so we had a converted garage. Mm-hmm. And in that garage was every instrument you could think of. We had the Hammond B3 organ, a drum set, keyboards, everything. And they would always have friends over, you know, to practice and to, you know, kind of like, not just to practice, but just what they call shed. They was always for hours and hours, so much so that I had to make them eat hours and hours.
Now that was, when I was a kid, that was what my mom had to do. I don't know what's up with these kids now, but we used to be so focused that our parents had to force us to eat or to do something else.
Pull us away from what we love most. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. What is your passion? Right. What is it that make your heart pump? You know, what sparks you? What is it in you that says, oh my God, if I could just do this all day long, I'll be happy. Right. Whatever that thing is now, use this opportunity and do it. I mean, don't let it be a day that go by that you don't exercise your craft. If it's singing, take your camera. Now, everybody ain't ready for social media now. Saints, people, babies. Everybody not ready, so you practice first.
Right.
You get your own phone.
Put that baby on that camera on social media.
Hey, we gotta make sure it's right. Right. Because whatever you do can and will be used against you.
Yes. In the court of social media, they will roast you.
Yes.
Kids will be mad because that video ain't gonna go nowhere. Somebody screen record it or pass it down somewhere along the line. Right.
It's forever out there. So if you love singing, put your phone in front of you and take that video, sing, you know, and maybe get your family members to tell you to critique it. Like, what you think about this? Is this good? You know, and they'll say, well, you know, and don't be offended by it. Right. Rather them tell you, than the world. You know what I'm saying? But watch what you put up on social media. So in the meantime, you practice with your phones. Yes, 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 yes. Practice with your phones. And if it's a dance thing, practice that with your phones first. And then critique yourself. Oh, I could have done that better, da, 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 da. Watch videos of people that you like, but don't try to be them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You put your own spin on it. You know, be who you are, but you get ideas from this person, this artist, but don't let it be you, because what the powers that be, what they're looking for now is the person with the it factor.
Right.
And you don't have it if you're doing what everybody else is doing. What?
That's a word. You don't. You really don't.
You don't. You gotta be different.
If you copying what someone else is doing, you're not gonna be original. And that's what people
are gonna be original, and people gonna pass you over.
Right. And they're looking for original. They're not looking for, oh, I seen that already. Who did that before? I remember. They're not looking for that.
You've got to put your own spin on it, even if it's a song. And when you do songs, and if you are at the point where you want to post your songs, I would advise you to post a cover and make sure you put in the comments that you don't have rights to this music. Right. Post a song that people are familiar with, because they'll gravitate to the song, and then you're introducing your voice. Right. You understand? If you put a song up there that nobody likes, like, all right. But put a song up there that everybody knows, like, oh wow, I like that song, and oh wow, he sounds good on it. Oh, she sounds good. What else does she do? And they'll go from there to your next clip, and before you know it, you have gone viral. You know, right. So make a practice of doing that, and make sure you do it right. But you got to. What I want you to know, you got to practice. Right. These Olympians, they spend hours doing what they want to do, doing what they love doing. You know what I mean? Right. Spend hours doing it, and don't get bored. You know, don't get bored. And when you're creative, it does not always means that you're creative in the artistry or in music expressions. Some of you all have a personality. Some of you all are good with being icebreakers. In other words, if there's tension in the house, you come through there and you do one sentence and everybody busts out laughing. That's your craft, that's your talent, that's your gift. Cultivate that. You might be a comedian. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, you know, only thing with them self-made comedians, you got to make sure you interject your one-liners at the right time, because you get popped in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? You may be trying, especially as a kid.
Yes.
You may be trying just to break the tension. Yeah, da. Pop, whoa. Right. I was just trying to make you laugh, but it doesn't go over that well. So, as a young person, I tell people, ask God for wisdom to know when to interject. And then parents, don't be so hard. Give them the opportunity.
That's one thing I'm learning as a parent too, especially with this pandemic, because we are always in parent mode. So everything, parent, get up, do this, do that, homework, schoolwork, go to school, get dressed, time for bed, time for reading. Like, everything is so much on a schedule. So now, with this being our semi-normal right now it's like, okay, you can't have the serious hat on all the time. You know, your kids know that you're a jokester. So now you gotta kind of switch roles a little bit to where you're still the authority figure, but you gotta just like have fun and not be so hard. Cause I know I'm a hard one. I be like, you better get that dance move right. Do it over. Let's go. So I've learned that with this pandemic, like, I have my girls still practicing dance. So I'll try to learn it with them. And then, of course, I'll mess up. And then they start cracking up. Or I'll do the move the way that it's supposed to go. And they looking at me like, how you know how to do? I'm like, first of all, how y'all think y'all know how to dance? Y'all came from your mama. Hello.
Right. Yeah, so you already know that this is an adjustment for them.
Right.
And in their own way, they have to realize it's an adjustment for you as a parent as well, because you have extra weight on you throughout the day. you know, in layers of weight.
Right.
So, but as a parent, you know, you got to be the adult and let them make mistakes, just let them be human. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But learn how to cultivate them and not make them feel bad. Encourage them when they make mistakes and when they fail. Just let them know that, you know, happiness is something that just happens, and you know, it can be a part of your lifestyle, but you got to work at it. Everybody got to work at it. Everybody got to be on board. And you know, and I'm sure that sometimes they're doing the same thing. Everybody's tense.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I've also learned as a parent too, when it comes to, that's why I'm glad I have you on, because when it comes to your child's talent, especially in this pandemic, you definitely don't want to be too hard, because you don't want them to dislike their gift. So I definitely want to stress that to parents, and then, you know, the children too. You know, just think about your parents. Think about, like she said, this is a new thing for everybody. So your parent could be a little frustrated, a little ticked off at times. So take some of the things with a grain of salt. Don't dismiss your parents, but parents also need to understand that when it comes time, even outside of this pandemic, when you're dealing with talented children, you have to be gentle at times. So you can't always be so hard, because now your kid is going to be like, okay, every time I don't get certain things right, my mom or my dad just like on me, so I don't even want to dance no more, or I don't even want to sing no more, you know.
Right. That's true. And see, excuse me, you're in a different position than I was, because you're part of their training.
Mm-hmm.
You're part of your child's training. My sons were self-trained.
Okay.
They, you know, I had nothing to do. I just managed what he did when he dealt with people on the outside. They did their own thing. And so you have to give them the leeway to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody knows how radical Ty is. When I chose never to be in rehearsals, because I wanted to just be as surprised as everybody else.
Uh-huh.
And I first saw their first concert and all of the animations and the dancing in a church, I felt out. Girl, I was like, what is he doing? And then I was like, I should have been in the rehearsals to tell him, but I'm glad I wasn't, because that was his creativity coming, you know, into play, and that's what got him where he is today.
Exactly.
I would have like muzzled that, and it was, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, you can't do that. But that made him who he is today.
And that's why, like, when he first came out, oh my goodness, I was like, oh my God. I was like, Mom, because, you know, I was much younger then, but I was like, that's exactly what I like the movements and all of that stuff. And then in my church, I grew up in a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
So when Kirk Franklin came out, oh my goodness. Well, not when he came out. He was already out. When he started doing more of the upbeat and I never knew and all of that stuff, what? Our choir, we were called Words of Life. It was not a Kirk Franklin song we did not do, okay? Because we were young and we were energetic, so we wanted that to come across that, yes, we're Christians, we still love the Lord, but we got to stop to us. So when Ty came out and I saw the ripped jeans and the bouncing all over the stage, I was like, yes!
No.
And my mom, she would be like,
right.
She was like, Ma, you don't understand. We young, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to remember I'm a millennial. Some people try to tell me I'm not a millennial. I am only 32. I'm about to be 32 years young. So I'm still in the millennial age bracket.
Right.
You know, even when we were doing our concerts and things like that, you know, because Kirk Franklin was very radical too.
Right.
You know, they would be like, some of the older folks were kind of like, yeah, okay. Right. But, you know, we'll put our bounce to it and everything. But you're absolutely right. You don't want to muzzle who they are, because that's what makes them who they are. And that's what potentially makes your child a star.
That's right. And not only that, but they attract their peers.
Right.
We can't do it, but we it's over for us. Well, not over. We have what we have to do on this level, but
Right.
that's what drew you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my God, just hush your mouth and just enjoy and fight for him. Anybody came out of they had to deal with me. You know what I'm saying?
And look at it now. So that is definitely amazing. And my mom used to say the same thing. She used to be like, looking at me like, Nika, why? Like, why you all growing up, everything, why you got to be so extra? Why you got to do this? Why? I would come to cookouts looking like I was about to walk the red carpet. And I'm like, what? I'm just dressed. Like, this is, people are like, my family's like, no, that's not normal. So stop trying to, but that was who I am.
Yes,
that was a part of me. I love fashion. It's partly my mom's fault.
Okay.
And you know, my aunt, because of how they dressed me growing up. So I'm very self-conscious. Like, I pay attention. I got to make sure my hair is this way. Cause you know, that hot comb back in the day, you better sit still.
Yes.
Ponytails better look the way they look when I first put them in. You know, I had to sit with my legs crossed and all of that. And that is not really a talent, but that's still a part of grooming.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Grooming
your brand, who you are,
because you're branding them.
Mm-hmm,
So I had to teach my children that, and I was just like, listen, like, I'm grooming y'all. You can't go out looking any kind of way.
Right.
You can't. My mom used to get upset because of how she groomed me. So she would ask me to go to the corner store, and I would have to you don't have to do all of that just to go to the store. I'm like, remember, you told me if I stay ready, I never have to get ready.
Right.
Then you always told me I never know who I'm going to run into outside. So I always have to be presentable. And she was like, listen, now you going too literal, but you know, taking it literally, little girl. But I tell my children, I'm like, you are your brand. The other day I was walking outside with my Secure the Seed dress on, because I added dresses to the line. So I just wanted to get me something to eat, because I was about to do a pop-up virtual show. And I just threw it on because I went to get something to eat, and my plan was to do some TikToks. So I'm coming back in the house, and my next door neighbor is like, where'd you get that dress? And I told my kids, I said, you see, people pay attention. So you always have to make sure we're not only working on your talents, but we're making sure your appearance and your brand, because you are your brand. People need to, when they see you, they need to, oh, okay, that's Sisters with Talent, you know, or me. Right. That's the Secure the Seed lady. And before Secure the Seed, it was Bounce Back. So I'm still Bounce Back. I'm the Bounce Back coach. But Secure the Seed is an umbrella under it for the youth. Right. So one day I was getting some seafood, and I pulled up in the car. I didn't know these people knew who I was. And they're like, oh, that's the Bounce Back lady.
Wow.
So people pay attention, and you have to make sure, you know, as a child, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go. Right. So as parents, we got to learn that when we're training their talents and helping them cultivate, that we don't forget the brand. We don't forget the polishedness and all of that stuff too.
Yeah, it all works together into it. And you brought up the fact that, you know, along with the point that I was making, it may not be just artistry or the music expressions, but you may love fashion, that you may have a special thing, or makeup. You know, you just practice on your sister. Right. You know, if you do makeup, you know, just do that while you have this time. Perfect your craft. Right. And some of you like to read. If you like to read, then practice or just think about writing a book. Write a book, or take time to read to someone online. If you're a good reader, then go online, get a nice little book, and go from page to page, show the picture. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's a good idea. I see Michelle Obama's doing that. On Mondays, she's reading to the kids on PBS. And I said, that's an awesome idea. Like, this pandemic has really
Brought out creativity in everybody.
A lot of creativity, just like this Zoom thing. I would have never did this Zoom.
Right. Exactly.
I was comfortable. This took me out of my comfort zone. I was comfortable going in the classrooms, doing a small like family setting. And then God hit me over my head because it was still taking me a little bit of time to do the Zooms. I was like, I don't know if I want to. So, and he was telling me, he said, I didn't call you to a classroom. You know, I called you to youth all over. So if you want to stay in the classroom, you know, you stay in the classroom, but that's not what I called you to do. And I was like,
wow.
So I said, okay, I'm going to start the recording. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do a private Facebook or YouTube thing. And he's like, you already got a YouTube channel. Upload it on your YouTube channel. I'm like, come on, God. But it is not only for just the group here in Delaware. Right. There's going to be a lot of other youth that need to hear what you have to say, because this is the time for them to listen. They're on YouTube. They're on their phones. Everybody's scrolling, and they need those encouraging words from adults, and then also a millennial. That,
don't push it, girl.
That this is the time to just shine. This is the time to perfect it. This is the time to organize, you know, because what happens when that door does open? I was sharing.
You gotta be ready.
I was sharing with Miss Tribbett prior to hitting the record button that my girls had danced to a song in December by Dietrich Haddon called Open Door Season. And I prophesied my 2020 in 2019 because I heard the song and we were trying to figure out what they were going to dance to. And I said, you know what? God has not given us the spirit of fear, but power and love and a sound mind. So even when this pandemic started, I said, I said, remember what y'all danced to. And they were like, right, God didn't give us the spirit of fear. So they weren't scared, but I didn't want them to be. I wanted to make sure that I communicated with them that, listen, we're believers. Yeah, I see what's going on in the natural, but we already know what God is doing in the spiritual. So we got to make sure we remember that God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And I said, remember, we declared, the word said, and I declare, ain't nothing held up. It's open door season.
Yes, so, in my life, yes.
I said, we got to remember, we declared it, and this is open door season, and God is going to use this pandemic to expose those people. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. He wants a fresh wind of anointing just out there.
Yes.
So, yes, I'm so thankful that you took the time out to speak to me and the Secure the Seed group. Yes. And could you also give us your email? I'm also going to put it across the screen so that way, once the kids get their talents together, and you open up your talent shows, and we do some talent shows. We got some fresh talents coming out of this pandemic. Okay, it's gonna be hard to choose.
Right. And so this is what I love about it, Shanika, is because I am doing a virtual Kids Got Talent to showcase and open mic, and we'll be launching that I believe in May or June. So we're getting everything together, getting it tight together now, but. What I love about it is the fact that it won't be just limited to that area. People from all over, kids from all over can be a part of it. And I've been, peeking what's out there on social media and pulling, getting their information. So we'll be featuring a lot of kids from over where they play the instruments or dance, so it's going to be amazing. But you can reach me. All the information about us is on www.neicyt.com, NEICYT.com, or our email address is ntkidzcorner@gmail.com. And you can reach us, send us the video of anything that you're dealing with. You may be a part of our showcase. It's going to be, and not only that, but I'm letting the cat out the bag, but we're not only just going to feature kids, but we're going to feature families, because our thing is kids got talent too. So we can say families got talent too, because everybody's home, y'all singing, the kids on the instruments, and y'all, we want to hear all y'all.
Y'all better
Oh, your
get y'all
family's got
Michael
talent
Jackson,
too.
the Jackson 5 family on. Let's go. Y'all better
Yes.
get it on. Just
Yes.
don't do Joe Jackson stuff, okay, y'all?
Right. So we're gonna have that ready for you. So just keep watching. Just keep watching us, and we are Niecy T's Kids Biz on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Okay, so check us out.
I'm so excited, but you
Thank you for
guys
having me, girl. I love you.
First, you heard it here first. With Secure the Seed and the Bounce Back Coach.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure that I provide all of the information for you guys, links and everything for the website, email, because we want y'all to be successful. And we want some new, fresh talents to come out of this.
Yes, I believe there is. I
love the fact that you said it's going to be worldwide, because I know God is about to blow socks off of the whole team is going to be like,
yes, absolutely.
There's so many talented kids out here, and I'm definitely going to pass the information on to my friends, my family, and everybody. And I think I might get my family to do we need to get on up in the talent show. Because my family in New York,
you can dance with your girls and everything. That'd be great.
You're right. I'm gonna tell my family in New York too. They need to come on and email and get the getting.
Yes.
So, once again, thank you so much, guys, and you guys have a good day.
Love you so much.
All right, we're recording. Yay! Then I have to figure out all this other stuff because I don't. Yeah, this is my first time using Zoom, so I got to figure out how to clip the videos together and all of that. Fun. So thank you so much, Tawana, for joining me today with TAG, Think, Act, Grow. So that was your original segment when we started the Secure the Seed group. And I guess we're going to do a recap on what TAG means as far as today, with the pandemic and everything like that going on. Because I know being in this room, in this house, it has forced me to grow a lot.
Right. Yes, all of us. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to always be with you and to be in this platform, speaking to different ones and the teens, the young people, giving a word of encouragement, for our daily lives. And so it was awesome time that I had spending with the girls, when we started talking about the Think, Act, and Grow, that tag, I should say, Think, Act, and Grow, and what that actually means and meant to them. So we thought about just, personally speaking, what things did you think about yourself that you can't do, and reaching deep down inside of you to pull out what you actually can. You didn't know what was there, but if you just try and see for yourself, you'd be amazed by how you actually are bigger, better, smarter, taller, whatever the case may be than you think you are. We tend to put ourselves in a place and limit ourselves because we feel like, I'm not. But when we start thinking differently and telling ourselves, I can, I am, I will, I do, I have, then once we start believing that, that's when we grow to a place that we're able to be more than we thought we were. Yeah. So that was one of the things that I'm just so passionate about, helping the children, helping people, and helping these young ladies realize, who they are, realize the power in their voice. That was one thing that we had talked about then, was just realizing the power in your voice. Because a lot of times, even for myself, years on in, especially at that age, we silence ourselves because we think what we have to say may not really matter to somebody else. When in fact, what we have to say really does matter to somebody else. And how big or how small, it matters. Because we oftentimes limit ourselves with our own thoughts. And so tag was just so pertinent, to really realize, change your thinking, change your mode of thinking, and get past that limitation of, I'm just 14 years old, I'm just 10 years old, I'm just 25 years old, I'm just 40 years old, whatever. Because at every stage in your life, you are an impact, and you do make an impact to somebody else, whether they're older or younger, it doesn't matter. So we have to just be confident enough to know that if we just, gird ourselves enough to just say what's on your mind, it's going to help somebody else. I was very intrigued to see the young ladies who were receptive to that thing, because a lot of times, and there were some young ladies who were shy, or just kept to themselves and didn't realize, that, even the little ones, the younger ones, their younger siblings and people who are looking up to them, when they do actually say something, it makes an impact to them.
Right.
Or vice versa, that older person who may have lost hope in themselves or something, when a younger person has that agility and inspiration to do something, it inspires them to say, you know what, I can do that too. So just getting past the limitations of thinking I can't, and knowing that you can, was one major thing. That tag, is your turn. You do this because you can and will inspire some.
That is one of my favorite lines I use with my children. I'm like, no, let's take that can't out of your vocabulary, because you can. The Bible says, I can do all things through Christ. So the minute that you feel like you can't, well, maybe you got to think about where it's coming from too. Because if you can't, then that means you need Christ. So because I know my Bible says I can do all things through Christ. So as far as tag goes with this, because when you presented, we were in a setting where you could interact with the ladies and things like that. So it's different now. So now we're in this pandemic. And if you had to give the ladies advice on, from what you presented before to present day, as far as tag goes, what advice would you give them at this moment, being in the house? Because I had to go back to some things that I learned. I was like, okay, you got to calm down. You got to calm down. You got to calm down. Use this time wisely, because like I shared with other people, is one thing when you don't want to be bothered. But it's different when you're in a situation where now is like a restriction, like you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't be around this many people. If you go to the store, go home, come back. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, go to the store, come back home, wear a mask, do this, do that. I feel like there's a whole Simon Says game going on right now. Do this, do that. So what advice would you give to the young ladies? And now what I do like about the fact that we are able to record is that it is going to go on YouTube. So not only are we giving the young ladies advice, now we're giving other youth, including males. So what advice would you give to the youth about tagging at this time, thinking, acting, and growing?
Yes. The biggest thing about this, and I love the acronyms, and the last part is to really grow. We need to grow from this. Learn while you're in this place of solitude, while you're in this place of, you can't be around all the people that you were around, or you have to do things differently than you did before. This is a time to really find your inner strength and what works for you, and how are you able to survive right now. Just you flat-footed by yourself, finding your strengths and whatever makes you tick, because now you don't really have somebody else to look and watch, to either entertain or to get some feedback from, whether positive or negative. It's all about you right now. So growing your own self, knowing what you really like, how good are you really at this, what things you need to change about yourself that wasn't so great when you were practicing, whatever things before this pandemic. What can you do differently to make yourself better? What can you do to make yourself stronger? Even if it's, physically, all these things growing from the your very existence to what you were then to where you can be now is the prime opportunity for you to just grow, literally, find a new craft and get so strong at it that when you go out and once you're able to be in the presence of other people, you are just this powerful being that can't be stopped. It's time to just really get that kryptonite in you while you're all by yourself and be the best that you can be.
Right.
So that's my advice, that I would give to anyone listening.
Because Lord knows that's what I've been doing. And I said, gee, I did get in my moments of solitude when I decided to take it upon myself to like shut down certain things. The Lord worked on me with a lot about me and things that I needed to do, things that I needed to change, the way that I needed to think about certain things, the way that I needed to act about certain things, and what I needed to grow out of. So when, deciding to go on ahead and just, drop everything into recordings and everything, I was going to move forward with just, the rest of the speakers. But I said, no, I think I need to take it back because this in itself is like, just Think, Act, Grow is so powerful because if you use this time wisely, you're going to come out a different way. Like you have no choice.
Yes.
Now, if you decided to do whatever you want to do, still, laxy daisy, procrastinate, then that's you. That's that person. But if you decided to use this thing, let it put power and pressure, because that's what it is. This thing, it put a lot of pressure. It put a lot of pressure on some people. And pressure makes beautiful things, though. So that's why I was like, if people actually took the time, I had to go back because when I saw these acronyms, I was looking up, the topics that every speaker had. And I said, oh no, we got to go back to this one because like pressure will make you think. It will make you act differently and it will definitely make you grow. And I also thought about it too, because like at this point it's time. Like it's time to stop the foolishness. And that goes for me too. Like, I'm more so behind the scenes person. I'm not really, I was comfortable with the girls groups, I was comfortable with it being a group and just pictures, and us just having more of a family type of bond. But this grew me because God is like, okay, well, I didn't call you to that. And I'm like, like, can we hold on a little bit? Just give me a little bit more time. So he's like, no, I didn't call you to that. Like what I called you to do was to minister to youth. Because for years I was trying to deal with the adults, but he's like, no, I called you to the youth. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do with this platform? And I'm like, okay, we're going to start in the schools. That's what we're going to do. And now I'm forced to, it took me forever to get this thing together. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and do it now. Put the Zooms together. I'm going to figure out how to put these videos together. So I learned how to do iMovie and all of this other kind of stuff. So I'm really excited because it stretched me personally.
And that's a prime example of thinking and acting and growing.
Right.
Yes. So it's just what it is. I think this time was a reset for the whole entire world.
Yeah.
And if you look at it as the reset button, you'll be so much better off. Not just, oh gosh, I'll be glad when it's over so I can get to back what. Right. No, we're not getting back to nothing. We're going to go on to greater, We'll move on to greater. Not go back. Don't go back to what things used to be. Do something greater than what how you
That's
used
what
to
I
be.
had to
Be something greater than what you were before.
I had to change my perspective, and exactly to that, where this is the time that you've been praying for. When I say, because in the beginning I was kind of like, and then I had to sit down and think about it, and I got convicted, and God was like, this is everything you prayed for. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I wanted to be home. I wanted my kids in homeschool. I wanted to focus on, building and rebranding and getting my business out there, that God wanted me to do, not something that I wanted to do. So I'm like, wow, the only one that's stopping me is me at this point, because there are no distractions. Like literally, the only distraction is picking up your phone, scrolling to be on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok, because now I'm addicted to TikTok. The kids that turned me into a TikTok junkie.
Yes, they will, but look, listen, as long as we're using that, for the growth and whatever message is out there, TikTok and everything else is just going to be what it is, to bring us to a greater place than what we were before. Because before we would have done it, right? Before it's just like, but it's a change and a difference and something that we can use to grab the attention of those that we need to grab the attention of.
And I've been seeing some really, really cool TikToks that involve, like, what I like about TikTok is that there is more of a Christian movement on there too. Some people are taking they're making jokes and stuff, but they're making sure they're switching these songs up to Christian lyrics. I even wrote a song the other day. I was like, look at me in here rewriting Lauryn Hill, the X Factor. I said, look at so I've been seeing some really, really, really positive things on TikTok. And I said, that is what I like, because I told my kids, like, even when they wanted to do YouTube, I said, if we're not edifying the kingdom, then I'm not doing it. We're not doing it at all.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So yes, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me and record, and we're gonna tag it, y'all. That's right, kids.
Yes.
We are going to tag it, and we're gonna use this time wisely to think, act, and grow. All right.
Yes. Be a better you. All right. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And enjoy yourselves, everyone.
Thank you so much.
And that was cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor D, for joining me.
It's my pleasure.
Do another Secure the Seed. And tonight we're going to be talking about what lies beneath. And I definitely want Pastor D to touch on a couple of things. He's dealt with the youth. We had a situation, and what definitely wanted me to bring Pastor D in to minister to you guys was because of the death that we experienced with Sabria. And just a lot of the things that Pastor D was saying at the funeral was so powerful, and is necessary for the youth. And a lot of that stuff, starts with what's underneath, things that we don't deal with, things that we don't say, things that we don't communicate to our parents, things that if you go to church, you don't communicate with your pastor or your youth leader. And we just want to make sure that overall, you guys, this is Secure the Seed. So we got to secure the seed in every different area, because a seed gets roots, and is roots with an S. So there's many different pieces that are underneath those layers to make that seed sprout and grow. So we're going to deal with what lies beneath.
What lies beneath. Sound like a spooky movie.
Look at that. Actually was a movie. It was a movie. It actually used to be one of my favorite movies. I grew up where I love like them Lifetime type of movies. So Of
Well,
course.
I'm from the hood, sis. I don't swim with no monsters. I don't do no scuba diving with no monsters. I'm from the project.
I'm from the projects too. So my mom always called me an Oreo. I grew up in St. Nick Projects
Okay.
in Harlem. And my mom was like, you are just so different. Like you are like she was just like, where did you come from? You want to go horseback riding and camping? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, just because I grew up in the projects don't mean that, you know.
All right. What lies beneath?
All right, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna pass it over to Pastor D. He's gonna talk to you guys a little bit.
First, I want to thank you for inviting me and having me, and I want to give a shout out to all those who are listening and learning. Our young people, greatest generation of young people in the history of the world, and that's not just scientific. That's Bible. That's God. Right. He declared. That's the first thing I'd like you guys to understand about yourself, that there's never been a generation like you, and there will never be a generation after you like you, because you have a very specific function to play in this society, in this day. In my faith, I'm a Christian, we call that a call. And the question becomes, how do you answer that call? And what happens in between the time you realize that you got a call or a purpose or a mission? What happens between that time that you realize it and you walk in it is what I believe what lies beneath. And that springs from a whole bunch of different set of feelings. Let me give you just a brief biographical look back. My beginnings were in a Riverside area of the city of Wilmington. And I was a pretty good kid, exceptionally good kid, very smart, very smart. And I had issues with my father in terms of his style of child rearing. Now, I was the baby boy in my family, meaning my older brother and myself and my dad. My mother died when I was 1 year old. And so these were my heroes, that older Black brother and this old father figure. My dad worked hard. He used to be a Philadelphia cop, et cetera, et cetera. But when it came to discipline, my dad was very, very physical, and what today would be known as abusive. This humping my nose comes from one occasion where he broke my nose and the machine had to build it back up. So I had these hatred issues going on inside of me for my dad, but it was conflicting and confusing, because when bigger boys would mess with me or take my bicycle, I would like, oh, wait till my dad, he gonna kill a nigga, you know. And so I love to see my dad come to my rescue, and it conflicted me. Okay, so I grow up in the projects there around all of these guys, and the young guys that I grew up around, all of them had a little facial hair. They was Vin Diesel. They had chest. They could make their chest jump like breastises, you know, and they could switch hands and shoot basketball. They called me Skinny Ricky. I was the guy on the basketball court when they be picking the team. Pookie and them would go, give me him, give me Ray, excuse me, Skinny Ricky, give me Zip. Yeah, they would jump over top of me, and I had resentment in me because of all that. So Superfly movie and Shaft and other movies came out where I started identifying with pimps. You know, I started identifying with hustlers. I said, well, if I'm that right there, everybody gonna either fear me or respect me. Maybe I need to be that. You know what I mean? Maybe I ain't built like Jordan. They ain't gonna never let me on the team, no way. Right. So I have all of this conflict. Now, my book is called Treasures in the Trash, simply because I felt like trash back then, but nobody knew. None of the adults, they didn't know that I was bitter. They didn't know that I was conflicted about girls and women, because my mother was dead and I didn't know what she looked like, what she felt like, what she smelled like. And I had this attraction toward women, but I was terrified of them because they were going to leave me. And no matter how much they loved me, no matter what, so I would leave them first. Oftentimes abusively. So now, this is what lies beneath in Pastor D. Eventually, and I'm going straight to the chase because we got just a little time. Eventually, I end up in prison at 17 years old, Smyrna prison, with 15 years to do flat, then 39, based on a violent charge where I shot someone and that person died in a gun battle and the drug dealing lifestyle. So I know exactly what your cousin and what your brother and all of them are feeling. And here's what I want you to know. All of the things that were lying beneath in me, and it's a mixed bag because these were the bad things that were lying beneath. The resentment, the hurt, the hatred for my dad, all of that in jail, I got help for. In jail, I went to a program called the Key Program, and they began to use what's called a therapeutic process to dig down in my garbage can and pull up all of those issues. However, I'm going to stay there for the rest of my life. I ain't got no way out until I met my faith system, or what I say became a Christian, and I began to believe. First prong I want you to know. You have got to believe in something, believe that there's something inside of you that's great. If you don't believe it, then we're wasting our time. Nothing will cause you to look up, live up, and get up. You want to be a multi-millionaire? You can do that if you believe you belong in the multi-millionaire category. But if you don't belong, if you don't believe, and here I was in prison, the first thing I noticed was I began to believe. I remembered that I was smart in school. I remembered they pulled the fear out of me, helped me deal with deep-rooted personal issues. All of you have them right now. They're deep-rooted. That's why they're beneath. But they are just the surface of the good stuff, which is up under the bad stuff. So you got to dig. You got to dig deep and get that bad stuff up to the surface where it can be therapeutically dealt with by professionals and get it up out of you. And if we don't have money for professionals, then we got to become therapists for one another. In fact, I can think of some good barbershops where you can go get some therapy if you're a dude, and some beauty salons where you can go get some therapy from Big Mama and them if you're a girl. So we got therapists.
And ask your parents too, because the back of that insurance card, they can find you some.
Right. So now, once you believe, that's the first thing. If you're going to succeed, you have to believe. Then you've got to get rid of the guilt mindset. We have this mindset. I did. Well, I shot somebody, and I'm never going to get but so high. I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. I'm never really gonna, they got nice little programs, but the truth of the matter is, the white man ain't gonna let me go but so far, then mouths are gonna knock me off, because I ain't never gonna be nobody and nothing. Now, that would damage or shoot down my belief. See, you got to get rid of the guilt mindset, letting those things of the past that you have done and things you've experienced, letting that hold you back from believing that there's greatness in you, right? So that guilt mindset. Now, in my faith, we worship the Lord Jesus Christ, and he is famous, a famous scripture. All y'all probably know it, even if you don't go to church, where he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He wasn't just talking about the people at the foot of the cross or the Roman police or any of them. Wasn't even talking about the dude that Judas that snitched on him and sold him out. He was talking about you and I. He was saying, God, my Father, forgive Pastor D, forgive Derek, forgive Shaniqua, forgive these children of yours. They don't know what they're doing. Now, how do I get rid of the guilt mindset? I've got to be willing to forgive myself. I have to be willing to forgive myself. And somebody has to help you to know how to forgive yourself. I understand. So number one is that the first prong is that belief. The second prong for me became being willing to forgive myself. Now I'm walking around the penitentiary. I got 15 years to do. I only did 6. I ended up spending 15 and a half years in the prison system, but I only did 6. So for the next 6 years, I'm going around the jail singing gospel songs and telling brothers that I didn't want to be the pimp, imp, skimp, the food stamp pimp no more. I wanted to be Les Brown, this guy that I saw on some videos and everything, E.T. They told me them boys was getting something like $50,000 for talking an hour. I said, shucks, I can talk. A Negro can talk. A Negro can talk. You heard me? So I began to joined a group called Toastmasters and started learning how to speak. I wouldn't even read an English book in school, but I started reading them in jail. And I said, read, Derek, read. And I began to read 362 books in 1 year. I read in the middle of the cell, read in the back of the cell, went to sleep on a book reading. All of Thomas Thorne, The Birds of Sin, If They Take Me in the Morning, Angela Davis, The Holy Quran, The Angel, the 1st through the 14th ruling dynasties of Egypt. You name it, I've read it, baby. And I was using that reading to put knowledge on my mind that I might be able to speak, because I wanted to be a motivational speaker. Number 3, decide who you want to be. What do you want to be? Many of you guys don't even know what you want. You want to be all over the place. I want to be a baseball player. I'm going to be an NBA. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be a wife. I'm going to be a bad diva. Da, 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 da. Decide what you want. You don't know what you want. Nobody can help you. Decide something. Your brain is powerful, but you can't even have 2 thoughts at the same time about different things. So what does that tell you? You have got to decide. Don't let somebody else decide. You decide. What do you want? If you want to be a multi-millionaire, you can have that. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. Today, I am. I wanted to be a writer. Today, I am. And once I learned the call on my life, I wanted to fulfill it, my purpose, to be a pastor. I am a pastor. I never wanted in here to be a pastor, but in here, I wanted to be a preacher. All right. I am today. Now, what was beneath came to the surface every time people, we call them haters now, and they come in all ages and sizes.
Yes.
People, and even family members began to take those things about me that was still growing and not strong and throwing them in my face. And they still hate on me today. I now understand that they're the wind beneath my wings, high hater. But these things began to affect how I felt about myself. And so since they don't want me as a Christian, I'll go back and do gangster. I know how to do gangster. All right. So you can't let somebody decide who you are based on their version of you. That's number 4. I got a whole list. I know we're running out of time, but I guess the best way, sis, I can say it is this. And I hope that in the future we can get together and I can really
yes,
cut
we
loose.
definitely
I want to cut loose. But there is a building, and it's in San Diego, and I've been reading about it lately. It's the Millennial. You heard about the Millennial Towers? The Millennial Towers are supposed to be the most beautiful building in the world in San Diego. San Diego, peep this. San Diego, California, peep this. They've got $400 million units. 400 apartments that go for $1 million. So this couple moves in there, African-American couple, and they stay 3 years. In 3 years, they say they lost $3 million and they got out of their apartment, and they said, why? I mean, there's porcelain toilets and all kinds of, it's a luxurious, famous building. And she said, well, my son was playing marbles, and he shot one of the marbles across the floor, and the marble rolled down all the way to the kitchen and then rolled back. All right. So they said, well, something's wrong. The building is leaning. They went with maintenance, and guess what they found out? They found out that that building was actually built on sand. Multi-million-dollar building, $1 billion spent to build it, and now I've moved into it, but it's built on sand. It's not stable. It doesn't have a foundation. When they asked why, they said the builders only went down 800 feet. Now, if you're going to build a 400-foot building, you can't just go 800 feet. You got to dig down to what they call bedrock. Oh, I'm going deep. I'm going right in where you asked me to, what lies beneath.
Yes.
You're going to resurrect yourself and build yourself into somebody. Then you're going to have to be strong enough to stand against the naysayers and their opinion of you, and keep reading, keep moving, keep doing what it is you do. And then you've got to dig down deep enough for you to hit bedrock where that building will just stand and won't be leaning or lopsided. I learned this on this side of the prison bars. I didn't learn it when I first came home. I came home to notoriety for being an activist here in the city of Wilmington, because there were murders of your generation, murders of young people, murders of young people. Y'all didn't know my name. It's Derek Johnson. So they were dead. Oh, you know the pastor man, the preacher that did his funeral, it's D something. So kids started calling me Pastor D. And that's what they put in the newspaper. 301 funerals of people under 21 I have preached. 321 violently killed I have preached between Wilmington and Chester, but mostly Wilmington. Now, 321 of your peers who should be beside you listening right now, who are dead. And so I perfected the motivational speaking preaching.
Uh-oh. Hold on, your thing is on mute. Your computer's on mute.
I think I gotta unmute.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. Okay, I'm muted.
Okay, so sis, when it comes to what lies beneath, the true gift I found out is up underneath the remaining stuff that has to be dug out. I thought, for instance, a lot of y'all want to get married. You better wait and take your time and analyze the situation correctly. I thought that I was going to be a good guy when I got married, and I really believed it. And so do you, so did your father. They believed that because we heard things growing up. I done hung up my guns. I ain't pimping no more. A lot. Then we go to the bachelor party and Miss Chocolate give us a lap dance the night before we go to the altar with you. Nobody told me that the worst way to try to be faithful sexually is to have Miss Chocolate bouncing around on your lap. Because the culture said if my best man is a good friend, he's going to get me a lap dance. You understand? Contradictory. That stuff is still down in us. After we deal with the lack of education and all other stuff,
and it's on the movies and on the TV.
Thoughts that make you, I was no good to be a husband. How could I be any good when I did never see a faithful husband in my Black community, and I ain't never been faithful to near another girl no time that I went with them. And so as you strive to become better, you've got to dig deep to get those things, and that's only one area. There are many, many other areas where my values and my thoughts and my feelings were wrong. And so you, at your age now, young people, you got some stuff going on inside of you. Some of it is not your fault. We need to dig down and heal you from that. Some of it, you're wrong. And we need to get you there now. After we do that work, and that work should begin for you now, then and only then do you hit bedrock. Bedrock is who you truly are. And it's your spiritual essence. It's your being. It's the wonderful, beautiful diamond that you are ready to shine. And after you fight through the muck and the mud of who people think you are, and you dig down into who you thought you were, you come forth, like they say, as pure gold. That simply means you begin to see yourself and free yourself so you can be yourself. If that's a multi-millionaire, then that's what you are. I believe you can't do that without a God. You cannot do it without believing in something bigger than yourself. For me,
Yes.
it's Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. But you have to believe. Oh God, there's that word belief again.
Yes.
How can you believe in yourself and not believe in God? You understand what I'm saying? So this work should be getting done, I believe, in the schools of the land, and it should be getting done in the churches. But know this, once you begin to touch what lies beneath, you're going to draw the anchor, the anger, and the you're going to be very disappointed, because you're going to draw the heat of traditional people who don't want you to think that way.
Right.
They want you to want what they got. See, it's a difference. You don't want what I got. You want how I think. You don't want what they got. You want how they think. I don't want that millionaire's car, money, and house. I can pick my own.
Right.
But I like to know how he thinks.
Right.
So if I get how he thinks, I can get my own stuff.
That's
you understand?
Right. That's
You don't want Pastor D to marry your mama, please. You want how Pastor D thinks, so your dad can think that way.
Right.
I still have opposition. I probably have more opposition than most, but I've had the privilege of being needed by the first Black president of the United States of America, and working with Barack Obama and introducing Michelle Obama to my wife and other Wilmington people. I had the privilege of traveling and performing with Dr. Bill Cosby all over the country, all on his private jet. I'm talking about ex-convict, 15.5 doing Riverside Project Boy, me. I had the privilege of sitting with Idris Elba over at Bancroft School, bringing and sitting with him in Wilmington and talking to him about spirit and lead to the Lord. And now he's the most sexiest man in the world, they say. I talked to him first about Daddy's Little Girls and about what's the other one, the gospel that he did. Then I had the privilege of going to his birthday and praying over his birthday party in the club. It was Idris, y'all. I had to go. But I'm just saying that the stars you want to be like, God will put them in your hands.
And that's one of the things I talk to a lot of people about too, especially when it comes to because I said the non-believers, they come get our people, they come get our kids, they come get the adults with the music and all of this other kind of stuff. Why can't we go get them? Why can't we show them the God that we serve? It's not about conforming, but the fact that you were able to be put in those situations to still be who God called you to be is what people need to see. And that's what the youth need to start to realize, that we have to be who we are called to be. We can't be nobody else. Just like Pastor D said, it's not about having what the millionaire has. It's about what's up here. How were they thinking? Which strategies they use to get where they are, so we can start to implement them.
You said, why can't the church do that? Here's why. The devil doesn't judge the people that he brings in to serve him. He just let them come. The devil will take anybody. He'll take any one of y'all. He don't care nothing about your size, how black you are,
age, nothing.
The church, unfortunately, is full of prejudicial, judgmental people. Oh, if you gay, we don't want you on the front line of the choir. Oh, if you this or that. Now, the church has to adopt the strategy of the enemy, because they work hard. People that make rap, they work hard to get our kids. We don't want to put no work in. So we'd rather say, Pastor D, man, all the young kids running over there to hear him preach, he ain't no good. Oh, come on, brother. I forgive you. Pull up on that hating, man. The reality of it is that we run people away. We
Yeah.
do.
Oh my
Make
goodness.
them feel there's no place for them.
I say that
But young
all
people,
the
I'm
time.
telling you, don't let anybody
Don't
turn
let them.
around. You know, there is a place for you. You understand? Now, I decided to stay here. I had a choice. I'll end with this. I had a choice when I came home from prison. I was the first inmate type director of the KEY program in 1,600 prisons in America. Peter Jennings, I'm the last convict he interviewed. President Clinton sent the drug czar, General William McCaffrey, to Market Street, to the Plummer House, to meet me, as I was the first inmate on World News Tonight for running the KEY program. They were going to pay me $40,000 a year start. I would have worked my way up to 100 to run drug treatment programs. I knew I could do it. I knew I had the knowledge. I also had a chance to go into the movie industry. Bishop Wilmore took me to Philadelphia to audition for a movie. He's an actor, and I got a part, you know, a bigger part than him. Ultimately, I had a shot to go into the movie business, and, you know, Bill Cosby, everybody know I pastored Bill Cosby, you know, for many years, and he's my great friend. And anytime I wanted to be in the movies. However, I found out in prison that I was called to preach.
Right.
I found out in prison that if you don't love what you do, you can't get up day after day and do it. You've got to find that thing that you love so much that you would do it for free, and then find people that'll pay you to do it.
That's right.
You got to find that thing that you would do for free. Y'all didn't hear me. And then find people that will pay you to do it. I'll never forget the first time when I hit the motivational. I've been speaking all over the place, $200 here, $300 there. When my wife and I boarded the plane, flew to Texas, and I spoke at a correctional convention, a prison guards convention, and they paid me $10,000 for an hour of speaking. I said, doggone it, I'm up here now. And I'm on that circuit. God has allowed me. Now get this, I'm 62 years old. That means it's not late, it's not too late, and it's not too early. When you dig deep and you find what lies beneath, now you're ready to be a child genius. Now you're ready. What's wrong with being 15 and a multi-millionaire, billionaire? Absolutely
They on
nothing.
YouTube. I get annoyed because I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. I think I want to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah. But you got, these are the things. I got seven more prongs, but I gave you 4. And I'm gonna drop it like it's hot, shake it fast, back it up, show you what I'm working with. Meet me to church on Sunday. You can come see me in church. Beat me there, don't meet me there.
So I am so very excited. Thank you so much, Pastor D, for dropping the knowledge on the youth today in regards to what lies beneath. And guys, I really want you to take all of these different sessions seriously and think about it and sit down. And then I'm going to do my personal testimony because, you know, like Pastor D, there were a lot of things that were on the beneath, you know, on the deep inside of me. And not too long ago, God tested me. That was not 2018, 2019. We're in 2020. So this is just happening where I said, you know what? I know I have a calling and I need to answer it. And I need to stop playing because I was arrested for lies. Like there was so many things going on. But guess what? If you don't know who you are and whose you are, you will easily get lost in this system. And that's one of the things we don't want the children to do, get lost in the system. Because me as an adult, if I wasn't so knowledgeable, and I have a lot of street knowledge, I have book smart and street smart because I grew up in Harlem, grew up in the hood. So I got that hustler mentality and all of that, but I also have that mentality to where I open books, I read, I do my research. And there was a point where y'all wouldn't even been able to see who I am. The security seed, it wouldn't have even existed.
Right.
I did not dig down on the inside of me get rid of some things that would help me think clearly, because that's another thing. We got to be able to think clear and operate clear. And if you don't dig up some of those things, the hatred and the because my ex-husband was taking me through hell in a handbasket, but I had to know whose power was stronger. And I have to know, you know what, regardless of what he's doing, I have to forgive him. I have to release him to his creator. And guess what? I got to walk this thing out. I have to walk it out. Because at the end of the day, I'm an example. So I'm an example of all of those things that lie beneath. So if I don't deal with them, they're going to show up. They're going to show up in the courtroom. They're going to show up on that piece of paper that I got to fill out because I got to help and respond to something that he filed. Like, I was so annoyed because my life had turned into courtroom wars. Like, I had to stop working and all of this other kind of stuff because the courtroom became my full-time job. And I used to get annoyed. I'm like, these people, every time I come in, hi, Dr. Moore, hi, Dr. And I'm like, why do these people know me? Like, I was annoyed, but God said, change your perspective. I need this to happen to you because it still has to take some stuff out of you. But not only that, there's going to be someone that's not as strong as you, youth. There's going to be other youth that's not as strong as you. And some of these things you're going to have to go through, but you have to think smart. And you have to make sure you uproot those things that are not good, get rid of them. Don't let them lay there. Don't let them stay there. So that's my spew on that. And I'm going to circle back around with that later because someone asked me yesterday, one of my friends, she was like, you know, I know we're friends and all. And she said, you know, you motivate me, you inspire me. And she was like, but what's your story? Right. She said, because, you know, I know who you are now, but she said, I could just tell it's something else. And I just started talking to her about certain things, and she was like, wow. And, you know, I told her about the time where I got arrested while I was at work. Like, nobody knew because of what lies beneath. I had to make sure that anger never showed up when I entered a classroom. You know, it wasn't my students' fault. I still had to be focused. I still had to be their teacher. I still had to be my kids' parent. My children didn't even know that I got arrested when I got arrested. And then I got out and went straight to Bible study that day. So, you know, we just have to be mindful of what we're doing in our actions and make sure that we get rid of those things that aren't supposed to be there, because they're going to show up and they're not going to be so good for us. And we have to remember that we are the only book, Bible, and word that someone will ever get. Yes. I want to say to your students leaving, first of all, I don't want anybody to glorify going to prison. Please don't. It don't glorify that. 15 and a half years, 6.5 years in one cell for 23 and a half hours a day. I attempted suicide and a number of other things. We'll talk about that, but please don't glorify. I today have an executive pardon. I run expungement clinics, and I did everything. I ran for mayor here in the city of Wilmington. So I've gone from the bottom rung all the way back to full citizenship. You need a quality education, all right? I want you to know that the biggest handicap I'm learning to this generation, to you guys, is your EQ, not your IQ. It's your EQ, your emotional quotient. Who is this person? Your feelings get you in more trouble than a little bit. And we're becoming people who can't handle success. Who do you become when you get mad? You become another person when you get mad. You want to punch walls and knock out windows and cut tires when you get mad. Our EQ is all jacked up. Yesterday, and God will keep you in that like this. Yesterday's newspaper, y'all, front page, and it has to do with Pastor D escorting a federal fugitive to the federal courthouse. He was on the run all over the country. Tamron Hall talked about it. Somebody's got to replace Jesse Jackson. Somebody's got to replace Al Sharpton. Somebody has got to do
the work that God wants done to help people. And you have to be emotionally strong. You cannot have something happen to you and then your feelings make you go crazy. And then you leave somebody out there. All right. So nobody, God himself is not going to trust you with great things until you get your EQ together.
Ooh, yes.
All right. So
I know he tested me with that. He said he was like, this the time to test her before I give her a full platform. I want to make sure she ain't gonna cuss nobody out. I want to make sure she ain't gonna roll up in all black, start cutting tires. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what type of time I was on.
Yeah,
I was on that type of time where if you did something to me, ooh, I was coming. I was coming for you. Dressed in black like the omens.
And we got to do a talk. AQ, IQ, EQ, AQ. Your acceptance quotient. Can you accept change? Yeah.
And I had to accept the fact that it's not happening to me. It's happening for me. And it was happening for the better. So I'm dealing with these situations and I'm like, ooh, I just want to punch somebody. I just want to cuss them out. But the fact that I was able to pass the test with my EQ, you know, and get all of that stuff up out of me, God said, okay, now she's ready. And now here we are with Secure the Seed. I wanted to be in a classroom.
Love it.
Now God is expanding that even more. Nope, you got time on your hands. Let's get these episodes recorded so that way everybody around the world could see it. Because like I said, I'm a very personable person. So I like the classroom setting and stuff like that. And God is like, nope, you passed my test. You all of that stuff you went through, you ain't cut nobody's tires. You ain't bust nobody's windows. You ain't bury nobody 6 feet under. You know, you didn't do none of that stuff. So these are
you don't owe nobody no oodles and noodles in jail, do you? You know, we always owe some oodles and noodles.
You know, like I was able to get delivered.
Right.
That's the number one thing. What lies beneath, you have to get delivered, you know.
You're the best sermon. You're the best sermon for a young woman today. You are. You're a page in the new Bible.
You have to. Deliverance is key because we were called to be prosperous, but we also got to make sure that we deal with deliverance because we ain't going to be able to keep that stuff if we don't get delivered. Because like Pastor D said, if somebody hands you $1 million, if they make you a millionaire, what you going to do? What your emotions going to do? What is your emotion going to do when somebody slip, you know, 10 G's away from your million thinking you don't notice? What you going to do?
What you going to do?
Roll up on them, or you going to have your EQ together to where you can
quit. That's what I find them doing. You drop out of school. When I talk to them about why'd you drop out? Oh, well, you know, this teacher. I said, you let one person's personality make you give up on your future. Get your EQ together. Get your emotion.
Well, that's gonna be the next one. Get your EQ together. We got to do that. Get your EQ together. I'm gonna make sure we get you on the schedule for that one. Get your EQ together. Oh, we can do a Facebook Live. Yes. Because not only the youth, these adults. Yeah. Oh my land. That's a whole nother subject. I'm about to stop the recording because a lot of people, period, their EQ is like, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm just like, you didn't even have to react that way. But I had to remember when I was on that side of the track, you know, with the way my EQ was, I was a ticket time bomb. What? Yeah. I was like, no, you're not going to do me like that. I'm going to show you right now.
Emotional weakness is to rehearse and relive the problem over and over without a solution. Right. And when you have a solution, you're not supposed to relive the pain of a problem. So once we got that EQ together, then we won't keep reliving the pain of that feeling over and over and over. And it's on you. It's not on the other person to make you feel better. It's on you. Get your
like forgiveness. Together. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is for you. I had to learn that the hard way. When I was going through my situation, everybody kept saying, and someone who was close to my ex-husband and myself, just out of nowhere prophesied to me and said, just forgive him. Forgive him. And I was like, and they told me, shut up. They said, you ain't forgive him yet. Give him. And all the doors are going to open up for you. And I said, okay, you know what? So that's another thing that lies beneath, you know, you have to forgive. Just like Pastor D said, forgive yourself. You got to forgive your parents. You got to forgive your peers. You got to forgive the teachers. You know, just start forgiving people. It don't matter what they did. You still breathing. You still living. You don't have a bullet in your head. You're not in a hospital bed. You're not paralyzed. You're able to walk and move and do what you want to do. So forgive them. It doesn't.
We think forgive means let somebody get away with something.
Right.
And it doesn't. It doesn't. It means, no, you're not going to get away with it. What it means is, I preached a sermon once called The Necessary End. And I've noticed that God brings us to places sometimes when we're at a necessary end. You know you're at a necessary end when the thing or the person you're dealing with, you look 10 years in the future and you see they are not going to change. And when you know that is not going to happen, you're at a necessary end.
That's it.
It's necessary that you get out.
That's
you
it.
know,
Get away. Let God do what God needs to do. We are not God. We got to remember that. I had to remember that. I'm not God. I can't do it. I can't change nobody. I can't force nobody to change. No matter what I put on, what wig I change so he won't cheat, you know, who I decide to look like, it don't matter. You got to just give him over to God, let him do what he got to do, and then you move forward and do what you have to do. I had some youth call me with relationship problems. Girl, move on. Boy, move on. You're too young. Just keep it moving, keep it pushing. Because like Pastor D said, you're going 10 years down the line, you're going to see that they right back where y'all was when y'all in high school. You're like, I was in love with that? What was I thinking? Yeah, you did, Ricky. Right. And he's still acting like we in 9th grade? No. And I'm up here and I done passed the bar and all of this other kind of stuff. And he's still living with his mama like that would have been me in the basement with his mama. No. So
get that EQ together.
We're definitely going to get Pastor D back on.
Thank you.
Guys, I want you to definitely replay this. Listen to it. And if you don't have a church home, you have 2 people right here with a church home. You got Pastor D, who has Joshua Faith Harvest, and then me. I'm not a pastor. I'm a minister. I'm a youth minister at Church of Redemption. We have the location. So you guys find your home. Find your home. Find your books. Get to reading. If you need help getting to church, you know what I'm saying? Start reaching out. Like, come on, we got to do this. We got work to do. We got work to do. And I'm definitely about to make it interesting, because that is absolutely right. The non-believers, they make it so interesting. They're like, yeah, everybody want to do that. Everybody want to twerk, pop it, Cardi B, and all of that stuff, because all of the believers want to be like, don't do that. Tradition says.
We got more envy in the church than the devil got in the club. You know, that's crazy.
So we definitely need to be examples. And guys, I want you to have a wonderful day and enjoy this. Share it with your friends and let them know that they got to deal with what lies beneath. Okay, guys, here is another episode of Secure the Seed. And I want to thank my pastor, Dr. Paxton Price.
Praise God.
To talk to you guys today. And what we're going to talk about is a message. He did a snippet of it in church. And I just heard, like, I missed church Sunday because I got tied up in praise and worship. And by the time I finished my praise and worship, I was like, I got to do my hair. By the time I started doing my hair, service started. So that's why I was like, y'all got a live stream. But one of the things that stuck out to me was when you were talking about The wages of sin.
Yes.
And you were talking about the payday, and you said just like we get a payday, you know, some people get paid on a once a week, some people get paid bi-weekly, and things like this, and twice a month, and once a month. And I was like, OMG. And what's wonderful about this is that I wanted him to bring this to you guys while you're young, because if you get this revelation while you're young, you would have a better path. We talked about healthy lifestyles. We talked about what lies beneath and uprooting certain things. But if you realize while you're young, I got the revelation when he talked about it, and I'm about to be 32. And I was like, woo, I know it's, you know, you reap what you sow, and I know the scripture about the wages of the wages of our sin are death, but I never looked at it the way that he presented it. And I was just mind blown at about to be 32 years old. So I want you guys to listen to this as he brings forth the word on how we got to do what's right, y'all. We got to start doing what's right while we're young, so that way our path isn't so crooked. And it's not full of things that we have to undo that hurts us in the long run and hurts the people who are attached to you. Because you got to remember, everything that you do, it affects someone close to you. It's not just you. It doesn't just affect you. It affects your mom, your dad, your grandma, anyone who's close to you, your siblings. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Paxton Price so he could talk to us about the wages of sin.
Praise God. Thank you for having me on. It's a blessing to be here, Dr. Moore. Talking about the wages of sin, it's Romans chapter 6. Romans chapter 6, verse 23. It says, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through the Lord Jesus Christ our Lord. And what we're talking about, the wages of sin, is just like you get a paycheck. You work to get a paycheck, and then in a week, or maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whenever you get paid, that you get paid for what you have done. Mm-hmm. And the Bible tells us the wages of sin, the sin you commit, is going to pay you one day. It's going to pay you in death. It's going to pay you in destruction. It's going to pay you in the things that you don't want to get paid in. Mm-hmm. Hardships, trouble. The things that the seeds that you sow today, you're going to reap tomorrow. Yes. And so what the word of God simply says is, if you take care of the things today, your tomorrow will be much better. And as a society, especially as young people, we have to remember what we do will affect our future. You're going to see the things you do today, you're going to see in your future. So you want to be mindful of the things you do today. You want to operate in integrity. You want to operate in honesty. Why? Because in the future, you're going to reap the seeds that you sowed. Mm-hmm. You're going to decide the type of life you live by the actions you take today. So the actions you take today is going to affect your tomorrow. So the Bible simply says the wages of sin is death. You're going to get paid for the sins that you committed. You're going to get paid for mistreating people. You're going to get paid for doing the wrong things at the wrong time with the wrong people. And unfortunately, our society operates in fast food. We have a fast food mentality. We expect everything to happen right away. So when we don't see things from a standpoint of we're going to see them in the future, we kind of feel like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm grown. I can do what I want to do. But unfortunately, the truth is, and this is the truth, that in the future, you're going to get paid back for all the things you do, whether they're good or bad. It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. The things you do now, you're going to see the results in the future.
Yes. And just like with the wages of our sin having a payday, and Pastor talked about fast food, I like to think about it as my first book is called Breakthrough Spiritual Weight Loss from Strongholds. And I was wondering why I couldn't lose weight. And the Holy Spirit dealt with me and said, you can't lose weight because there's some things that you're dealing with spiritually that need to go. So when you think about fast food, replace the fast food with the sin. which is self-inflicted nonsense.
Yeah.
So just like if you eat fast food all the time, you know what I'm saying? So you don't see that weight right away. It gradually comes on. It's going to pay you back. All that fast food, it comes back to pay you back. So whether you have high blood pressure, whether you have your calorie count is off, whether diabetes, now you got obesity. So just think about all the sin and all of the things that you know you're not supposed to be doing, all the people you know you're not supposed to be around, and just doing stuff you know you have no business doing. You know your mama raised you better than that. You know your daddy raised you better than that. Think about fast food. Think about how it affects your body, how it slows you down, and how you eventually become obese. And now you trying to get surgery because you done got too big and you can't lose the weight the natural way. So the best thing to do now, especially when you're young, is to tap into having better habits, doing better things. If you know right from wrong, just do what's right, because it's going to come back. I done it. Listen, I paid for a lot of stuff. I paid for a lot of stuff, especially in the past couple of years, because I thought I was untouchable. I thought that once you become a believer, you know, God wipes it all away. Yeah, it's going to get wiped away, but you're going to get tested.
Oh, yes.
You're still going to get tested. So why not practice healthy lifestyles right now and practice what's right? Just like practicing eating healthy, let's practice doing healthy things so we don't have to worry about that bad payday. You know, you guys are young. Y'all going to be getting summer youth jobs. We're not sure what's happening this summer with this pandemic. But once you get a summer youth job, if it's short, you're trying to figure out what happened. Like, hold on, wait a minute, my check's short. That's same thing. You want to make sure you get what you're supposed to get. God said that we're going to have an abundant life. You want to make sure you get that abundant life without getting payback for negative things. Let's get payback for the positive things.
Amen.
Put more positivity in the world, because if you reap what you sow, that means if you put more positive, you're going to get more positive.
That's right.
So is there anything else you want to talk to the teenagers about today?
If they're young and like teenage, let me tell you something. Let me express some life stories to you. Mm-hmm. There was a time where I thought, you know, I could just do whatever I wanted to do and just have all the fun I wanted to have. And I decided I'm gonna have fun, and I had fun too. I had a real good time. Don't let nobody tell you sin's not fun. And I had fun. I was having a good time. It was like a couple hours. I had a real good time. And then one day, 9 months later, child support came. And they said for the next 18 years, you're going to be paying for that fun you had for 2 hours. And that's what the wages of sin is. Mm-hmm. The wages of sin is where 18 years I was paying for the fun I had for 2 hours. Think about that. 2 hours turned into 18 years of payment. Mm. That's how it works. That's how it works.
That is more than double.
Way more than double. That's multiplication. and sometimes when you're young and you're having fun, you don't realize that it's going to affect your future. Mm-hmm. School is the same way. The more work you put in school, the less work you have to do in corporate America or in the workplace. They're going to pay you for getting the education that you need now so that you can work less in the future. They're going to pay you more in the future for putting the time and effort in now.
Right.
That's why education is so important. Go ahead. I know it's boring sometimes. I know sometimes you don't feel like it, but if you put in the time now, it's going to bless you in the future.
It sure is. It's going to pay you back.
That's all it is.
It's going to pay you back, just like we said. Those negative things, you're going to get a payday. You do the positive things. So what I started doing in my life, because mine was the same way, I had fun cutting school and everything else and doing things I had no business doing. And then at 15 years old, I was hiding a pregnancy.
Yes.
You know, and at 16, I was delivering my first baby. So that was the wages of my sin. And then now, you know, my son is he's overcoming, but he's in a tough season right now.
Yes.
And these are the wages of our sins.
Yes.
Because sin is fun. It's so much fun, but doing what's better is so much fun too, because it feels so much better. So now the fact that I'm still dealing with the sin, you know what I'm saying? Because now my son is going through something. So here it goes. And now I got to help him get through that. But guess what? Had I waited, not fornicated, not had sex before marriage, waited till I was married, did it the right way. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because, y'all youth, y'all are wonderful at times. And then at times y'all are, hard-headed. But what I'm saying is it wouldn't be a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
And it would have been better to be able to work in the home with the other parent. So that's what I mean. Now I'm a single parent, and then most of the behaviors comes from the fact that he has the same issue that a lot of you youth are facing today. You don't have the father figure in your home. So now you have a strong mother who's trying to take care of everything, and you're fighting against your mom because you haven't seen a male be strong enough in the household and show you things. So now you're trying to find out who you are.
Yes.
And now you're smelling yourself as a male, and then you want to buck up against your mom or whoever else. So we definitely want to encourage you youth to just pay attention to the things that you're doing. Pay attention to the things that you're saying, because even your words are very powerful. It's not just all about actions. You have to know when you open your mouth and you say certain things, that is going to pay you back too.
Oh, yes.
That is going to pay you back. The Bible says you have what you say. So you say stuff and you speak certain things over your life, negative curses, because that's what it is. It is a curse. Depending upon what you say, we need to start making more declarations and affirmations, positive ones. As youth, I was telling one of the other speakers, I'm actually, while we're in the house, because now they're not going back to school.
Yeah, that's right.
So school is out for the rest of, this semester. And I told my kids, I said, you know what we're going to do? We are going to write a book of affirmations and declarations. That's what we're going to do. And it's definitely for the youth, because I feel like you guys need to put more positive things in your mouth, so that way more positive things can come out. Just like the Bible, once it's in your heart, it shows, it comes out. It's like natural. So we want some of these positive things to roll off your tongue, so that you can start saying, I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I am a lender, not a borrower. I have an abundant life. I am who God says that I am, no matter what anybody else says. So we're going to close out in prayer. I want Pastor Price to close us out in prayer. And I'm believing in God for the youth for a turnaround, especially in this season, and knowing that school is officially done for the rest of the year. We want to pray for the youth, because I know that this is not an easy time for you guys. I know you guys are going to be missing your friends and your teachers. Some of the children's school was an outlet. We don't know what you're dealing with at home all the time. And now you're going to be with that 24/7 if it was negative. But I'm believing in God for a turnaround for the youth, and that these messages and videos get out there and it sparks something in you to do positive, no matter what's going on in your home, no matter what's going on outside in Wilmington, no matter what. I want you guys to all around the world, because this is going to hit YouTube. So once again, my mission was to just do Thomas McCain. That's what I thought. God had other plans.
Amen.
He called you to the youth around the world, and you still try to stay in Wilmington and just be a little low key. Now I'm going to push you to where you have no choice but to do what I called you to do. And now it's going to go on YouTube, and everybody all over the world is going to see it. Whoever subscribes to my channel, everybody's going to see it. And this is going to be an amazing thing for the youth, because I don't really see any platforms for youth, and platforms like that are dedicated to youth's growth and development, outside of daycare.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to forget about them when they hit middle school and high school. Those are very critical points in children's lives that it seems like a lot of people are dropping the ball on. And then they wonder why when the kid get in high school, they at the Rockford Center.
That's right.
So, so yes, Pastor, could you go on ahead and close us out in a word of prayer?
Yes, let's pray. I want to pray for all the youth out there. No matter what you're going through, you got to understand that there are people that care about you, that love you, and we're praying for you. And I'm going to speak a word over you. Amen. Father, in the name of Jesus, we give you praise and honor. Father, we lift up the youth, every young man, every young woman that is watching us right now. We speak a blessing over their life. We declare that they are blessed. They are healthy. They are wise. We bind up any attack that they might face from the devil, emotionally, mentally, or physically. We declare that they are safe. They are sound. You are supernaturally protected in the name of Jesus. As a spiritual father, I speak the blessing into your life right now. Receive this blessing. Stretch your hands out to the screen right now because you are blessed. You are blessed coming in. You are blessed going out. You are blessed in your home. You are blessed in the school. You are blessed in the street. You are prosperous. You are successful. You are somebody. You are a champion.
Yes, God.
And I speak that over your life right now. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Glory to God.
So much, guys. And once again, this was another episode of Secure the Seed.
Amen.
Hello, guys, and here is another episode of Secure the Seed. Today, I am here with Wilmington City Council President, Ms. Shabazz, and we're going to be talking to you guys about bullying and peer pressure. You know, I do know that you guys are home right now because of COVID-19, but we still wanted to make sure we brought some awareness to this. Because different things can be going on. You know, you could be on your phone getting text messages or inbox on Instagram or Facebook. And we definitely want to pour into you guys and plant the seed to let you know, little tips on how to deal with this while you're at home. And I'm going to hand it over to Wilmington City Council President, Ms. Shabazz.
Thank you, Dr. Moy. It's just really a pleasure to be able to share the tidbits. These are life experiences that I believe all of us go through. And there's hopefully that as we continue to realize its prevalence of it, that we will be able to nip it in the bud and not just deal with those who are being bullied, but those who are doing the bullying, help them to overcome that characteristic.
Exactly.
So it is really difficult even now because we all are self-contained. I think the biggest thing I can recall as my life's experience of dealing with bullying, I try to figure out, well, why me? What did I do to deserve this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nice person. I say hi to everybody, and then of course, knowing people are going to be people, how do I learn to just let it roll off my shoulders? How do I learn to get tough skin, and understand, even in this age, I'm still toughening my skin because you never know what's going to come at you. So I think the biggest seed that I could plant into our young people is the getting knowledge of self and confidence of self, because when you turn to have difficulties, sometimes there aren't anyone around.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have a relationship with a friend or an adult. And for self-survival, we got to turn within.
Right.
So that's the first seed I want to plant and hope that they can start building on it. You get, young people getting to know yourself, know what your character, what your gifts and talents are, that you feel good and confident about that. Be able to, as Ayana Von Sun says, be able to look at yourself in the mirror and love what you see.
Yes.
That's
very important.
Even with that pimple, that big nose, that big ears or whatever. And I had big ears back in my day. And I still do. That's why I had it in my hair. And they used to tease me about my knees because I was real thin. They told my knees and my ears. So I had to deal with that, being and going through junior high school. And I admit, to get over that, I looked in the mirror, you do got big ears. So when they called me big ears, they're not saying anything that's not true. My ears are big.
Right.
In fact, my ears are big. And that was it. So You know, that self-confidence is really important to try to build that into our young people.
Yeah, when I was younger, I'm still young. I just, I don't know why. Every time I say that, I'm like, I love saying it, but people are like, "You're still young." I'm like, listen, hello, there was a younger me.
It was,
But
yeah.
also, when I was younger, that was one of my things. Like, I was always too skinny. So it's like, oh, you're so skinny. And then when I started gaining a little weight, it's like, oh, now you're fat. And then I'm like, you can't win. And then mine was my lips. So I used to get teased a lot about my lips because my lips were too big. Then it was one point because I used to go to North Carolina a lot. That's where my father's side of the family is. So the sun is beaming out there. When I would come back to New York, because I was born and raised in New York, I would be dark.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going back to school in September, and then it's like, oh, you dark. And then my skin would change color. So, you know, there was just a lot going on. And we definitely want to let you guys know that, yeah, it happened to us too. But mainly to be aware, and self-love is that was a great example, because self-love is the best thing. Once somebody starts talking crazy about you, embrace it. I had to embrace, okay, so what? I have big lips.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? I know I'm going to talk one day. So I need a big mouth. And that's how I started looking at things. I would start throwing curveballs at people, and they'd be like, and then it didn't bother me anymore, because I already knew. I used to tell people when I was younger, I was like, eBay was big back then. So I was like, when we graduated from the 6th grade, mind you, I'm like, make sure y'all save my autograph, because it's going to be worth a lot of money on eBay one day. And I was like, see, this big mouth is gonna go all over the world. And people were looking at me like, and the kids was like, but you have to start embracing these things, and also communication.
Yeah.
You know, I know we're at home. I know, you know, a lot of the children may have their own rooms, or some of them may not, but don't drift off into la la land if you're being bullied. Don't go in your room and just be quiet and things like that. Talk to your parents, talk to whoever your guardian is. Don't close yourself in. And for parents, I definitely want to talk to you guys about just being a little more in tune.
Yeah.
You know, being more aware of if you see different patterns going on with children.
Right. And you know, and I know it's difficult now for parents, because most parents, a lot of parents, I'd say, are working at home, while also having to school their children at home, while still having to take care of the house. Right. And I don't know how they think that we're going to do 3 to 4 things at one time, but you know, we women, we get it done, you know, right. We get it done. But, and then that something always has to be possibly little, something slighted. And so understanding that if you start seeing that your child doing those kind of seclusion type of things, which seems like, you know, that we got to start balancing and give that child a little more attention. And children, you have to understand that because parents have all of this on them right now, you have to then be a little bit more patient to the parent's reactions and understand what your parent is going through also. And just because the parent might push you off at that moment when you feel you need to talk, understand what parent is going through, and still come back when you see parent can't, you know, has a moment that can give you, and keep trying again. Don't give up. And if you know, or I'm quite sure, I hope that you may have an aunt or uncle, someone you can call.
Right.
You know, and tell them what's happening. You know, I can remember when I was in elementary school, I had those ears and the skinny and all those things that most young people go through, because you're changing in your maturity, puberty. And the one person I had a altercation with, we got into a fight, you know, and that because everybody was pushing her. We became the best of friends. She's my dearest friend to this day. Because what I didn't realize was that there was people pushing her and bullying her to pick at me. And there was people, I mean, so we both were being really bullied to bully each other. And we became allies. And to this day, she's my ride or die, you know? So there's sometimes life's lessons. If you don't know why, you keep saying, why did this happen to me? We don't know why things happen to me. And sometimes it is to build that tough skin, because the universe knows that what it is for you to be successful in your gift and purpose of being on this earth is going to require you to have tough skin. It's going to require you to have those big, beautiful lips that people are paying money to get like yours, Dr. Moore.
They getting injections to get
injections for that, so you don't know why, but you have to, like we said, you have to embrace what life brings to you, and build that self-confidence that whatever this is, I'm going to tackle it. I'm not going to let that person deter me, because it might be that, like I said, things are happening just to build that strong characteristics that's going to need for you to be able to do what your gift is to the world. So, life brings you what you need, and sometimes what you don't need. We just have to accept it and roll with it.
Yes. And also she, Miss Shabazz brought up a really, really, really good point, where a lot of times the bully doesn't even want to be a bully. They really don't. No. They don't want to be a bully. They're bullying you because someone else is picking on them, or they're missing something. And I noticed that with a lot of bullies, even adults, because there are some adult bullies, and they start at their childhood and they keep going, but they're missing something. Sometimes all they need is a hug. Sometimes all they need is hey, would you like to be my friend? Can we just squash this? They're missing a part of them, and they're angry. So they're just trying to get it out in any outlet that they feel that they can.
Well, and that's a really good point. What I also actually share with in telling my girls that sometimes a bully is really because they really admire something about you, and we don't know how to communicate that. And because they might see something about you that they like in you, and you might not have gave them that confirming smile when they went to approach you, then they felt that you were slighting them. And then because they already have that little, I won't use the word envy, but admiration of you. And if they misread a slight, then that just turns it into a different type of energy, because that person, didn't know how to receive all that. So sometimes people just need you to reaffirm. And I would tell my girls that the people that give you that strange look, or look you up and down or roll their eyes at you, I would compliment them. I would compliment them and say, that's a nice, nice pair of shoes, or I love your hair, or something, because all they might need is, like you said, that embrace, that confidence, that nice gesture to break whatever insecurities they might have. So we don't know. Steel sharpens steel, and so that's one thing about especially with that women, we kind of, it have a little something with each other when it really is just admiration of each other. And we just have to learn how to communicate that to each other, and feel comfortable with it. And then also accept it and embrace it. So my girls kept saying, well, Mama, I'm not saying nothing to her. I said, but watch it. You get, because it really changes the energy, because they might be looking at you, whatever the reason is, and I'm saying, hey there, how you doing? And so if I smile at you,
right,
and give you a compliment, and you're trying to convince other people that are around you to have that same negative feeling towards me, they say, well, I don't know why you don't like her. She's nice. She just said hello to you. It just changes the atmosphere and the attitude around for everybody. Because love heals everything. Yeah. I mean, positiveness heals everything. And if the person doesn't embrace it, you know that you did the right thing. You did the positive thing. And if anything else comes from a more negative energy, it's not because you exerted it out of resistance or defense. You go on the offense, and you stay positive. You stay positive.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hope that you got that seed that was planted. This was a wonderful session. And I don't want to drag it on too long, because I want you guys to think. I want you guys to start pondering on what you can do different, how you can start embracing certain things. And also, if you are being a bully, or if you're being bullied, or, provoked to do certain things, how to just go on ahead and change it. Let's change the atmosphere. Let's start being more positive, especially while we're home. Because when we go back to school, we want to make sure there's a lot more positive energy going on in the school. When we go back, once we open, we don't know when we're going to open back up yet, but once we go back, let's start putting these practices into place now. So that way, when we do go back to school, there's not a whole bunch of animosity, because that's the one thing you don't want. You know, one of our students, one of our seeds, she was actually a victim of gun violence. A couple of months back, where I think it was in February, you know, she was the 15-year-old that was at a party, and then the mom walked in Newcastle, I believe it was, and she was, you know, left there. And so these are the things that we're talking about. Where I'm not saying that was a bullying situation, but peer pressure. So we have to think about those things, and we want to make sure that when the world opens back up, when you guys start being able to hang around with your friends again, when you're able to go back to school, go back to these programs, we want to make sure that you are thinking, and that peer pressure does not set in. Don't go nowhere you really don't feel comfortable. If people say that they are your friends and they start acting a little funny and things like that, you know, pay attention. Let's start paying attention, and definitely let's start changing the atmosphere. We want to be atmosphere changers. We want to put out more positive energy. All right.
One other point, if I have 1 second, though. We're talking about the person to person, but we know our children are isolated in their own individual houses, but that social media world, oh my goodness. And so, you know, you only can be bullied if you respond on social media. That's one thing about that. Only if they can say all they want to, and after you don't respond, then they're talking to themselves.
Right.
Or they're talking to each other, and they're not talking to you, so it's not affecting you. So if you find that somebody is coming at you wrong, that's, you know, taking your spirits down, because if it's not a positive post, you know, then you have to learn to use that self-discipline to resist and not respond. Take the high road. Take the high road. You want to keep yourself in a positive mode. Yes, she might say something, and you know, I'm going to get back at her. And I understand it, because I do it. I've done it too. I've had to sometimes get emails or texts that I have to not answer 2 days later because I have to calm down.
Let me tell you something. I just checked my email when all of this, there was an email that I had gotten, I believe it was 2018 or 2019. Let me tell you guys, I did not check that email until March of 2020, until this pandemic started, simply because I knew that I had to be positive. I knew that I had to make sure my response, if I did respond, I needed to make sure that it was positive. So, you know, and yes, my favorite line is, whatever you feed will grow. Mm-hmm. Whatever you starve will die. So just like Ms. Shabazz said, you know, feeding that stuff. If somebody posts something about you, if somebody says something about you, don't feed into it, especially if you know it's not true. Mm-hmm. And I noticed a lot of times we get upset at stuff that's true. So
we just need to fix it. If it's true, own it.
That's it.
Fix it and move on. You know,
that's it.
Don't ignore
it. Don't feed into it, because it's not going to do anything but go on and on and on. And then at the end of the day, what problem? I'm a problem solver. Mm-hmm. So what problem did it solve? Yeah. Feeding that situation that's negative, what problem did it solve? Because 9 times out of 10, it doesn't solve anything.
Right. And so, you know, I know these tips sound easier said and done, because as you can hear, we adults have difficulty even then. Like I said, I had to take a day or so before I could respond to that, you know, and then when I came back and responded, like you said, you want to take the high road. You know, First Lady Michelle Obama said, if they put the bar, you know, don't stoop to their level. You take the high road. Always keep that upper high road. So, like, don't feed it. You know, and you do have that power. That's one power you have over that person in social media, is not to respond. And then if that person always saying something negative, don't read their posts. Don't even open it.
Block
Don't
them.
open yourself, expose yourself to that negativeness. Because what you'll find is people that are watching will start recognizing that and start seeing the wrongness in that person's attitude and character, and then they would score their characteristics. But then they will start saying, you know what, you were so right, you were so mature, you were so right to keep not even respond back to that mess. And then they'll start saying, and your positiveness will show. So we do have that power through social media that sometimes in person you don't have, is not even to answer, don't even give them the click or the like or whatever that
Don't even give the little funny face, because I know like if you hold on to the button on Facebook, you could do like thumbs up, heart, angry face, laugh. Don't give them no power.
Don't give them any power, any credit that goes toward their page, popularity or whatever it is. In fact, after a while, they keep coming at you. I really highly recommend that you just block them or delete them. And that would really, really get their goat, So there are tools and there's ways, if that toughness and that discipline, that let it roll off your shoulder, and own what's yours, own what is yours, and what's not yours, let somebody else have that. So.
Yep, own it. I had to own my lips. And just like Dr. Shabazz said, now they paying for them. They paying to get injections for lips like mine that people used to talk about. Now I owned it, oh well, they big, so what?
And getting paid for it, right? God's gift to you.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much, Wilmington City Council President Dr. Shabazz, for joining us today. And guys, we will see you later. This is the end of season 1, so we're about to go in season 2, and I have some wonderful, amazing speakers to download you guys with and sow some more seeds. And have a good afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Hello, Miss. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Miss Array, for, that way we could talk to the youth about health and nutrition.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me. And I think, this is such an important topic, especially in times like this.
Right. So what kind of tips can you give the youth, especially, in this and outside of this? Because, the whole pandemic situation, but on the flip side of it too, coming out of it, definitely, because I watched a documentary a while ago called What the Health. And when I watched that, I was already like, against certain foods and things like that. So, and then now with this pandemic going on, it kind of makes me think even more, because when the world shuts down or, everybody's buying up everything, my concern is once the supermarkets get back restocked and all of this other kind of stuff, like, are we really going to be paying attention to what we eat? Because there's no way in the world you can mass produce for the world.
Yeah.
Quick. So certain things are going to be missing. Certain things that are not supposed to be in foods are going to be added. And definitely, with youth, there's obesity going on. There's not good eating habits. I know with my oldest son, I had to be careful with certain foods I gave him because it triggered certain things in the body, certain dyes and everything. So it is just a lot with nutrition if you don't pay attention.
Yeah, I would say definitely. And the pandemic has made it even more difficult, because right now when a parent goes to the store, they're not looking for the vegetable aisle. They're trying to get the next bag of noodles. So if they're on lockdown, they at least have something to eat.
Right.
So if you look at the stores right now, the, noodle aisles and bread aisles and all that stuff, that's what is getting out real quick, because nobody wants to buy a whole lot of vegetables, right?
Right.
And keep it in the house, because that's not something you can store long term. But people can definitely store the noodles and stuff like that. whether or not we go back to our normal habits after this, I do want to say first, we're going to get past this.
Yes.
Yes. And life will get back to being normal. It may not be our regular normality, but we will have a new normal. And
Right.
that is
That's
totally
what I
fine.
said. That's what I feel. I strongly believe that there is going to be a new normalness, and it could definitely work out for the better.
Yeah, I agree, because as you talked about mass production, it's making every industry to reinvent themselves and see how we can prevent this from happening again. And then also our regular lifestyle, was that really sustainable? Was it effective? Was it qualitative and quantitative? Like, do we really need office spaces? Stuff like that.
Right.
People are thinking outside the box right now, and I think we're going to emerge out of this even better.
Right.
But when I was, thinking, if I were in high school or, middle school, what would I want to hear about in terms of healthy living? What are some things that I wish somebody would have told me? And those are one of the things that I would like to share with, the students today. But I would like to start by really reiterating the importance of having a healthy lifestyle. Healthy lifestyle goes beyond dieting. It goes beyond working out. It's the total person. How are you emotionally? Are you healthy physically? Are you healthy spiritually? Are you healthy as a whole? Mentally, how are you? I always ask people, what's working well in your life today?
Right.
Or what's not working well? Because the tendency is whenever you ask people, how are you doing? The number of responses, I'm okay, I'm fine. If you ask responses that provokes their thought process to actually think, then you get a better and honest response. Right. And another reason it's so important to prioritize healthy lifestyle is because science proves that students that take care of themselves and practice healthy habits, they think better, they have quicker memory spans, they produce better in school, and they can retain information better. So if you are not practicing healthy lifestyle, now is the time to really think about that, because it affects your productivity at school. It affects how you perform. And just getting into a healthy lifestyle really helps in all of those aspects. And now is the time. There is no time better than this.
Right.
Ask me how difficult it is for me to start a new workout regime in my age right now. It's harder. But if you can cultivate these habits now that you're in, middle school and high school, those things become your lifestyle as you get older. Right. And as older as you get, it's a lot harder to start new things. But if you can develop this as part of your lifestyle, I promise you that you won't have to start over, because that's already part of you and that's what you do. So one thing I would like to start with is, staying healthy, especially in a time like this with the coronavirus going on. I cannot emphasize to stay healthy, stay safe, and stay at home as much as you can, okay? There is no point trying to hang out with your friends right now. You will see them, I see your eyes. You have teenagers, so they're probably asking, when can my friends come over?
And not only like my teenager. So I was eating the other day, and I FaceTime one of the students because I hadn't heard from him in a while. So I text him and he never responded. And I'm like, okay. So he has me on read so I can see if he read the message. He never opened the message. So I said, because there's so much going on in Wilmington. I'm like, no, let me just FaceTime him to see if he answered. He answers and he's like, what are you eating? And I'm like, telling him what I'm eating and everything, because I made some lamb and rice and I cook up my vegetables, like my mushrooms and stuff, because now, I had definitely cut out meat, and it was really, really, really working for me. It was amazing. But, like you were saying, when you are in this situation, you gotta, when you pack a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables in the house, you know, it's like you eating them up so quick that you got to keep going out and going out. And I don't want to have to keep going to the supermarket. Yeah. And then, you know, I have children, so I don't want to have to drag them out every time. And then if I leave them, I don't want to have to leave them long. So it's just like a lot. So I'm asking him, I'm saying, okay, so do you want some? And he's like, yeah, could you bring me some? So I said, okay. I go take him some, and he's like, all right, could you wait for me for a little bit? Because I'm hanging with my friends. I'm on my way. I'm like, you're supposed to be in the house. What are you doing? And then when he picks up the food, he getting out the car with his boys. I'm like, oh, my Lanta.
Teenagers being teenagers. Yeah. So it is so important to follow the state of emergency. Right now, it's actually a national emergency.
Right.
So
just the state.
Yeah. Until the state opens up for business, and until the state says you can go back to school, you can stay hanging out with your friends, stay at home. And if you must go out to the grocery store, please practice proper hygiene. That is so important. And it's not just you protecting everybody else around you. It's important for you. I know it's hard to say, you know, use a hand sanitizer, wash your hands, wear a mask. You can get you some cool looking mask and still look cute, okay? So don't hesitate to follow those state guidelines and the CDC guidelines. One thing I also ask, there is too much information out there. Don't overload yourself with information. Choose a trusted source of information, whether it's a CDC, WHO, or a news outlet. Just choose one or two trusted sources of information and stick with it. You know, the more you are information overloading, it confuses you. So it's so important to stay informed, but it's also important to filter out information that you receive into your life. You know, with this whole thing going, pandemic going crazy, with the uncertainties around it, it makes it even harder because nobody knows when it would end. Nobody knows about a cure right now. So it can get confusing. But I ask you not to overwhelm yourself with too much information. Stay informed, but don't overwhelm yourself, okay? And I know everybody has probably downloaded Netflix right now, watching TV and all of that stuff. It is great. It's a great form of distraction and entertainment, but don't overdo it.
Right.
Don't overdo it. Use this time lucratively. Be creative. Be proactive. Think about some things that you've been wanting to do with your parents, with your family. Engage in those things. Whether it's helping your parents start a garden in the backyard, you know, whatever it is, whether it's starting a new project. And I'm sure a lot of you have homework and schoolwork still going on. So you still have to turn your homework in on time. You still have to do your schoolwork. Don't think this is free time to stay on Netflix all day. So limit the amount of time you spend on the computer unless you're actually doing schoolwork or doing something productive. Limit the amount of time you spend in front of the computer screen. You know, it's good to have a schedule on when, you know, this is my recreational time, this is time for work, and this is time to help mom and dad around the house.
Right.
Okay? Because there is something called house chores. You can really help out your parents right now. You know, during school time, you don't have a lot of time to spend at home. And by participating in house chores actually helps you be more disciplined. And it also puts your mind in tune with everything else that is going on. And it's a very fulfilling feeling when you do the dishes, clean your room, help out, you know, around the house. It's a very fulfilling thing to do. You're not doing it for your parents, you're doing it for you. So you reap up that benefit of being a valuable contributor to the house, okay? So think about ways that you can be very useful around the house this time when you have not been able to do so while you were in school. And, you know, I said, be responsible. If you're in high school, some of you are probably driving, you know. I don't expect any of you to be drinking right now. You know, I don't think any of you are old enough to be smoking right now. Right. And none of you should definitely be doing drugs, okay? So those are things that I say, don't. Stay away from it. I have a first surgeon that I work with. He usually says that, don't do dumb things with dumb people in dumb places, okay? Don't do dumb things with dumb people in dumb places. So think about that. Every time you want to do something, ask yourself, is this a smart choice?
Right.
Is this a smart place? And am I hanging out with the right crowd? You know, will my parents approve? Will my teachers approve? So think about those things. This is all part of living a healthy lifestyle,
Right.
your actions and, you know, your contribution to society. Okay. And then, you know, rest. So now is not the time to burn out, you know, midnight candles. Now is not the time to burn out yourself. You know, rest. Get at least 8 hours of sleep a day. That will help you.
Taking naps. Ooh,
Yeah.
I've been taking naps in between.
It's so important.
Awesome.
It's important. You know, I know a lot of you are staying up all night watching Netflix. I know it. But think about how tired, yeah, and you to think about how tired you wake up and you are in the morning and you're not present. You're not present because you're tired. So think about that stuff. So when it comes to staying healthy and safe, again, you know, practice proper hygiene, watch less TV, be a valuable contributor at home, do your homework, you know, rest well, okay? And then the other part is, how are you eating?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mentioned earlier about, you know, a lot of people are grabbing stuff from the store that would last longer on the shelves. You know, just because you have a box of noodles at home doesn't mean you should eat 10 at the same time.
Right.
So I don't like to use the word dieting because dieting already puts a negative part that, you know, we're advising you to restrict your diet or do this. No. So let's talk about, you know, eating well. You know, how are you eating? When you look at the food in front of you, does that look like you're eating well? Does it look like you're eating enough? Does it look like you're eating too much? So does it look like you're eating the right proportions of your proteins and your carbs and stuff like that? So how is your eating? That's something that you have to take responsibility for. And it's not something you want to wait until you're older and say, I'm going to watch my eating when I'm older and want to get married, or when I'm older and want to
metabolism is going to be slow.
Yeah, it's a lot harder. Then you can ask Miss Moore. She'll tell you, she agrees with me. It's a lot harder as you get older. What did I say at the beginning? Now is a time to start those healthy lifestyles. So as you're getting older, you're not even trying. It's already a part of you. So every time you pick up food to eat, just ask yourself, am I eating well? And you think about the quantity, the quality of the food, and the proportions. Am I eating well? Fruits and vegetables really are good for you. I know you don't believe me, but I promise you, go a day and just eat only fruits and vegetables and let me know how you feel the next day, compared to going days and eating meats and junk food and stuff like that. Let me know how you feel.
Some hot Takis.
You know? Let me know about your bowel movement. Let me know about certain foods actually produce skin odor. Do you know that? If you eat a lot of food that are rich in like garlic and a lot of food that are rich in certain ingredients, they produce body odor. So it's so important to eat healthy. It's so important. Be friends with your fruits. Be friends with your vegetables. And if you don't like a certain vegetable, find one that you like. Maybe you don't like the way it's being cooked. Do some research and ask, you know, fun ways to cook, you know, spinach. You know, so long as you're incorporating those things in your diet, it really helps. If you don't like an apple, maybe eat the apple with peanut butter or chocolate. Find ways, and I'm not saying, you know, go eat a whole bucket of chocolate because then you're not eating, you know, well.
Right, at all.
Find ways to make the food more pleasant to you that you can, you know, you can eat it. And I got another secret for you. Do you know that water is better than soda?
So much better.
Okay, so
And
try it.
juice, all of that sugar in the juice, and
And even the 100% juice you see in the store, read the ingredients. If it's 100%, that ingredient should only say orange juice. When he starts saying every other thing, then it's not 100% juice. So, and I don't even want to talk about the gallons of juice that when you start reading the fine print, it says orange juice, but it's 5% juice. So those are things you should be looking into.
And those Hawaiian punches. Oh, stay away from those.
Yeah, stay away.
Leave.
And I know some of the challenges are, but it's more expensive to buy, you know, 100% gallon of juice than the ones on the shelf. But I'm saying, instead of buying the ones from the shelf every day, which you don't need, which is not eating well, you can use that money and buy one really good gallon of juice that you don't need every day, and you can spread it out. So it's just how you're allocating your dollars, okay? And that would help you portion your amount of, you know, juice and sugar intake, and drink more water, okay? And if you find yourself drinking a lot of the sodas and juice, you're probably just dehydrated. Take a bottle of water, get a cup of water, and that would actually help you better and feel better and reduce your cravings for the juices. And stay away from the fast foods. Go home, eat mom's food, you know.
Some people said that they're actually losing weight because their energy feels different.
Yeah,
So, because they're actually eating at home. And is, you know, some restaurants, you know, restaurants are considered essential, but some can't stay open. And I've talked to some adults and things like that, and they're just like, they feel so much better, moods and everything, because cooking and eating at home is helping them. And I was like, yeah, that's why I used to always tell people. People used to always, they'd be like, girl, every time I turn around, you got money, you buying this, you buying that, because I cook at home. I eat my home cooking. And then when, you know, I lost all this weight, I went from a 16 to a 12. Everyone was like, oh my goodness, what did you do? Number one, there was a lot of fasting. There was a lot of prayer, but I cut out meat. And I did have seafood. And then, you know, periodically I had, like, you know, lamb and things like that, and maybe some chicken and turkey.
Frog legs.
Yeah, I wanted something. Man, I can't wait. I said, I'm going to season my frog legs up, and I'm going to fry them. And I don't eat fried food. I do not like it. I don't like it because, just like, you know, Ms. Linda was talking about the odors, you also have to be careful what you eat, because it comes out of your pores.
Yeah.
So the reason why I don't eat fried food is because it comes out of my face, the oils and everything, and then I could smell it. And, But I said, you know, one day is not bad. So I'm gonna fry me up some frog legs. I can't wait. So
British delicacy, so definitely enjoy it.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today and empowering the youth about healthy lifestyles, because it's just not about what you eat, it's about what you do.
It's a total person.
Right. It's a whole package. What you do, how you act, you know, your emotions. And the one thing I wanted to say is like a routine. You know, use this time to start a healthy routine, because that's all a part of your lifestyle. How you eat is a part of your eating routine. How you think is a part of your thinking routine. That's why she said the whole person.
Yeah. And one thing I would like to emphasize too is taking care of your mental health.
Yes.
Right? You know, you got to make sure that up here is healthy, because that controls here and controls the whole person. So now is not the time for you to have a lot of free time that you just let your mind wander.
Right.
That's why if you practice all these other things that I mentioned earlier, staying healthy, you know, eating well, and being conscious about how you're spending your time, you're occupying your mind with positivity and positive stuff.
Read.
I don't expect you to know what you want to do with your life right now. If you already know it, fine. But I promise you, find something you're really good at, and something you enjoy doing, and use that time, you know, to use this time to do that. And when I talk about something you're really good at, I'm not talking about, make sure it's legal, make sure your parents and your teachers approve of it.
Right.
So just because you're good at it doesn't mean it's a positive thing. So find something that is legal and positive, that your parents and your teachers approve of it, that you enjoy doing, And stuff like that are going to map out the man or the woman that you will become, because that's how you start finding what your purpose is. I don't expect you to know that right now. Also, cultivate healthy relationships.
Yes.
If you have friends that are doing things that your teachers and your parents will not approve, definitely cut them out. And it's okay. They may think you're boring and stuff like that, but tomorrow when you're graduated and you're successful and they are not, then you would see why it's so important to listen to your parents and why it's so important to keep those friends that lift you up. If you also have friends that are not treating you nicely, you don't have to be friends with them. Okay? And if they don't think you're cool, that's fine. You can form your own cool group all by yourself. So you don't have to follow the crowd, you know. And if you definitely find somebody that you can talk to, if you're having days that you just don't feel well, days that you're unhappy, find somebody. It may be you're not a friend, it may be a parent, it may be a teacher. Just make sure that you have somebody that on days that you are not feeling good about anything, you can go to that person and talk to them. And please be respectful.
Please.
Have respect for your friends, have respect for your siblings, have respect for your teachers, have respect for your parents. Most importantly, have respect for yourself.
Right.
If you have respect for yourself, you would love yourself enough to want to live a very healthy lifestyle. So I really want to encourage you today to just have love for yourself.
Yes.
Look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I love the young woman. I love the young man that I'm looking at. And if any day you wake up and you don't feel that love, find that person that I just mentioned and talk to and tell them what's going on. Okay? Go out there and be good, because I know you all got this.
Yes, be great with healthy lifestyle. Start now, because this is the best time to start. This is really the best time to start while you're young. And then, you know, like we were saying, although it's a pandemic going on, this is the best time to use this time to start new healthy habits. So this way, you don't have to worry about it once you get older and you're like, oh, I should have hit the reset button when I was in that pandemic. Yeah, hit the reset button now. Start that healthy lifestyle in all areas of your life, and definitely focus on up here, because this runs the whole body. Like, this operates everything. How you think shows up, period.
Yeah.
How you think about yourself, how you think about situations, it comes through, just like the oil I was talking about, through my pores when I eat fried food. It shows up and it lets people know when you walk in the room. So let's pour more positive things. And even if you guys are on YouTube, start looking up. I love what she said. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm a beautiful young woman. I'm a beautiful young man. One of my projects while we're in this house is I'm going to write a family book of affirmations. So
awesome.
Start looking up different affirmations, and soon you won't need to look no more, because I'm going to have a whole YouTube of affirmations for y'all. But start looking up affirmations. Wake yourself up and tell yourself who you are, who you know you are. Don't worry about what the world says, but that's also a part of a healthy lifestyle, making sure that you mentally know, I am great, I am wonderful, I am the head and not the tail, I am above and not beneath. You know, start telling yourself these things, so that way if somebody calls you dark skin, oh, you too dark, oh, I'm dark and beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, or you too light, well, I am caramel and beautiful. You know, start getting these healthy things on the inside of you, you know, because I really don't like YouTube, because there's so many things on YouTube. But find the positive things on YouTube. There are some very positive things. So we definitely love the fact that you guys are listening and watching, and we do not take this time lightly, and we're so glad to be able to pour into you guys today. So that is it today for Secure the Seed with Healthy Lifestyles with Ms. Linda Array. And once again, thank you so much for sharing healthy lifestyles with us.
Thanks for having me. I totally enjoyed it.
All right. All right. And here is another episode with Secure the Seed. And today we're going to be talking to Mr. Smith of main social media about financial literacy, guys. And I
Awesome.
want you guys to pay attention because this information is very pertinent. Even though you're a youth, you want to start conditioning yourself. We talked about healthy habits the other day, and this is definitely a part of healthy habits. Your bank account, your money, what you do with your money, how you spend your money. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Smith.
Hello. How's everyone doing today? I want to take this quick time to, get on here, share some information about financial literacy and how important it is to get started early, understand how money works, and dive into it. I mean, at the end of the day, this information hopefully will stay with you for the rest of your life and help you make a big improvement, big change, because a lot of people don't really understand certain key things that you need to understand. The first thing I want to start off with is saving money, investing money, and the difference within where you place your money and how money grows. So I will just keep it simple. I will start with a bank account, a savings account. A lot of times people will say, hey, listen, I would save up all my money. I just, save my money, put inside of a savings account. And they think that's a way of accumulating wealth. And they don't really understand inflation. The rate of inflation is between 4 to 5% on average. Sometimes it may be a little bit higher or lower, but that's a good average. 4 to 5% is the national inflation for the United States of America. So if your money grows less than 5%, you are losing money if it's not growing. So if just leaving your money under the mattress is leaving your money to the side, if it's not growing, you're losing it because the value of your money goes down over time. And a lot of times people think, oh, I'll just save my money, put it inside the bank. And at the bank rates, I have this screen up on my screen right now. We can see the bank rates. The average bank rate right now is 0.01%, all the way up to 2% for a money market account, or 0.06 U.S. bank. So with a lot of times people see that and they think, oh, it's 1%. 1%. No, it's 0.01%. So it's not even 1%. All right. And a lot of times, if it was 1%, you gotta pay attention where that decimal point is. If it was 1%, it would be right before that. So it's 0.01%. So it's not even a full percentage. And a lot of times, if you even say let's go ahead and say it is 1%. Let's say it's 2%. Even at 2% return on your money, you're looking at the interest rate. You're still losing another 2%. So if it's 5%, you're losing 3%. So your money's going down. Just letting it sit inside of a regular money market account or a regular savings account, your money is going down. So even though the regular markets and all that are more volatile, a lot of times those markets will yield you a higher return than just letting your money sit inside the bank account. Sometimes you should have cash on hand or money on hand, but financial literacy affects us all. And the fact that most people don't understand how money works. And when I say that most people don't understand how money works, is 95% of the people that you talk to have no clue how money really works. 95%. So it might sound dorky, might sound like it's not the cool thing to do, but it is cool to be making a lot of money, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's not cool to be broke.
Especially y'all youth. Y'all expensive. Y'all like to shop. Y'all like sneakers and food and all kinds of stuff.
So if you like nice things, then you need to understand how to manage your money, and you need to understand how money works. So when I say 95% people don't have a clue, I mean this is a little chart I have up on here. This is a good little short reference to kind of go by, but I'm gonna use this to kind of show you this. Is that this is a pyramid. If you see my mouse cursor, this is a pyramid. I'm going to use this for you to understand, and I'm going to do the math for you real quick, okay? And go with me. Is that at the top of the pyramid is the people that have all the money, all right? I'm not going to talk about the whole situation. I'm going to say at the top are the people that have all the money, people that are worth $100,000 to $1 million or more in the whole world. All right, so $100,000 US to $1 million or more are the people at the very top. All right, now the people, everyone underneath of that, that means the next bracket, it will say from this very top pyramid and everything all the way down, they have, you know, the rest of the money in the world. Okay, but what I want you to understand is all the money in the world. That means all the money in the world. We'll say we'll use the same pyramid. We're going to say all the money in the world, which is all this down here. All right, all this down here. It's all the money in the world. All right, and I have a diagram that I normally draw, and I draw this out really really well, so it's easier to understand. But we have to do the Zoom meeting, so I couldn't be there with y'all in person. But I want y'all to go with me real quick, okay? So the top people on this diagram, those are the people with all the money in the world, and all these people down here, they have all the rest of the money in the world. All right, but all the money in the world, the same diagram, this diagram is going to represent all the money in the world. Okay, all the money in the world, and then these people right here up top, they run all this money in the world. They control all this money in the world. Now the people at the bottom, all these people at the bottom, okay, they're fighting for what's left over, which will be at the top here. So you got to flip the pyramid upside down. And I hope to get back on here again and kind of draw it out for y'all so you can understand. But I want to do the math for you to understand this, okay? We're going to say 5%, okay? So we're going to say this represents 5% of the people. We're going to easy math so you can follow me. I'm going to do this calculator for you, okay? We're going to say this represents 5% of all the people in the world. We're going to say this down here, all this down here represents 95% of all the people in the world, okay? So I'm going to do the calculator with you, right? And we're going to use $100, all right? We're going to say we have 100 people in the room, and 5 of y'all are wealthy. 5 of y'all are wealthy that's inside the room. The other 95 are just regular people, and the other 95 of you are down here, all right? So now, right now in your mind, I want you to picture, hey, listen, am I going to be one of those 5 people that's wealthy, or just a 95 that everyone thinks is cool and I just get along and I'm just average and I don't really understand how money works? So if you're the 5% that's in the room, you're the people that people don't really say, oh, you're not really that cool because you just don't want to do everything else that we're all doing. That's not the popular thing. You should do what we're doing. Well, those 95% of the people that's doing what's popular is not what's making money. All right, you have to be the opposite. You have to be the odd person out to really understand it and really capitalize on it. Okay, so we're going to use this. We're going to use $100, and we're going to say 100 people need to split $100. And I want to show you how big of a difference this is. Okay, so 100 of y'all have to split $100. All right, and we're going to find out who can buy what and who can't. All right, so now we're going to go over here. And we're going to go to, let's see here. Let's go to calculator. I brought it up here. All right, here we go. So we have 100 people, all right, and it has to split $100. And how the money's broken up is 95% of the people. Okay, so 95 of y'all have to split what? $95. So 95 of y'all need to split $95. Excuse me. I apologize. I messed up. 95 of y'all have to split $5. I apologize. Okay, so 95 of y'all have to split $5, and then 5 of y'all have to split $95. All right. So we're gonna say $5. Okay, let's clear this out. Get that over here. $5 because it's 95% and 5%. Simple math. So $5 divided by 95 people. Okay. Equals each of you 5 cents, 5.2 cents, or 5 cents. Each of you get 5 cents. Let's round it up. Give you 6 cents, 6 pennies. Okay, okay. So y'all all get 6 pennies. All right, that's how much money you'll get. Now, the other people who are the odd people out, but understand how money works. Remember, I told you before, right? The people that's up here. All right, hold on. Where we at? The people that's up here control all the money, all right? They're the small, but they control the whole pie. Now, those people up there, okay, the 5 of y'all have $95 that y'all have to split, okay? So you have 95 divided by 5 equals, so y'all get $19 a piece. You can buy a couple things. You can buy some things with $19 a piece, but that's how money works. Broken down that simple is that you have to understand financial literacy, because if you do not understand, you're going to be in the 95 percentile. And if you want to be in that 5 percentile, then you have to actually have financial literacy. You have to understand how money works, how to cultivate it and grow it. Make the money work for you. You don't work for the money. You control money. Money doesn't control you. All right. And so at the end of the day, I hope this analogy right here kind of breaks it down for you to understand the importance of financial literacy, because you could have 5 cents or you can have $19. You don't have a choice. This is how the world works, period. The only choice you have is either you're going to be a 95 percentile or you're going to be in the 5 percentile. That's the only choice you have. You don't have any other choice. It's not going to stop. The world is, whether you think it's fair, not fair, doesn't matter.
There's a pandemic or not.
Does not matter. Pandemic, listen, my companies were hit hard with the pandemic on certain companies, and certain companies are still doing well, but it's diversity. You know what I'm saying? You have to diversify your portfolio, diversify, how your money comes in. You need to make sure that you have the various sources of income coming in. And so at the end of the day, let's talk about working for someone else and working for yourself. Now, not every single person is an entrepreneur. But if you have the ability to own your own business or start your own business, I definitely would encourage you to, because there's a difference between working per hour and actually deciding how much you're worth. So what I mean by that is that we all have one thing that separates us, and that's how we use our time. The most important thing that you own in this whole wide world is your time. Okay, so how you spend that time determines how you live your life, determines how much money you make, determines everything. So time is the most important thing on the planet Earth. Everything is subject to time, and we all have one thing in common. We all have 24 hours in a day. All right, and people sell their time to get paid, a certain wage. And so they say, hey, listen, I will work for you. I'll give you the most priceless thing I have is my time, providing you pay me X, Y, Z, and per hour. Okay, it's typically on that note. Nothing against that. Is just understand it. Understand that you're selling a part of your time to earn money. Now, if you say, hey, listen, I'll pay you $50. Now, let's say this. I'll pay you $100 an hour to work. Most people will say, oh, yes, $100 an hour to work for you. I'll do it. At $40 an hour, that's over $4,000 a week. So at $4,000 a week, and we'll say that's 4 weeks in a month, that's, what's that, $16,000 a month income. That's over 16,000, that's a decent amount. What's that, 196 for the year? 16 times, let me see, what is that? 16,000 times 12 equals 192. So $192,000 a year income. And that might sound like it's a lot of money. And it is, in retrospect, based on, what your options are in life. But let's just say someone working for themselves, and the difference between being rich and being wealthy, you have to understand, rich is relative to, they're both relative, but rich is really, the difference between a wealthy person and a rich person is one person that makes, let's say the person makes $1 million a year. They make $1 million a year. That person is considered rich if, in fact, if they stop working, then the money goes away. Okay, they make $1 million a year based on their time. That person is considered rich. I make $1 million a year. The person, let's say the person that makes $100,000 a year, but they don't have to work to get the $100,000 a year. All their bills are paid. They have their home is taken care of. Everything else they're good, and they don't have to spend any time to get that $100,000 a year. The $100,000 a year comes in no matter what. All right, their time is separated from their income. That person is considered wealthy. So rich is basically the amount of money that you're making. You're making a lot of money, great. But if you lose your job or something happens and your money goes away, you're just rich. But if you have developed a system and money keeps on coming to you, whether you work or not, you're considered wealthy. So that's the big difference on that. Is the the big difference is your time. Do you have to work for the money, or are you set up where your money comes in regardless? So what I want to say is this though, is that let's just say you are a business owner, okay, and we all have 24 hours. So how can you get an advantage in this world? And how to get an advantage is get other people to work with you or for you. If you have other people working with you or for you, then you can actually get an advantage that will carry you over. Um, so let's just say you have 10 people working for you, okay? So 10 times 24 is you have 240 hours, theoretically, of work being done for you. So instead of you having only 24 hours, if you're able to employ or get other people to work for you, that's how you can actually have a competitive advantage. One of the quickest ways to have a competitive advantage on this planet is to now you have 240 hours worth of work being done, and that work can benefit you and kind of go from there. So when you go to a job or you go to any company, what they're going to do is they're going to look at what value do you bring to the table. And based on the value that you bring to the table, they're going to pay you an hourly wage. They need to make more money than the amount that they're paying you, and they need to still make a profit. So they need to make a profit, pay you, make a profit, pay for overheads, expenses, and that's a business. That's something that they can go ahead and scale up, hire more people, make more money. And when you understand that, when you're financially literate to understand, hey, listen, if I'm working for this company, if I'm doing this, I'm delivering this value to the company. So my worth to the company is worth X. And then do that for yourself. If you're able to find a way or find something that you like to do, and if it's possible, either do it for yourself or find ways that you can actually bring more value to the company so that they can pay you more money to do so. And that's the core basis of financial competence, financial literacy that I want to actually bring to y'all today. I don't want to flood your mind with too much, but if you can remember everything that I just said, it breaks down like this. One is that putting your money inside the bank, regular bank rates is not the answer. It's just really just leaving your money by itself only in a savings account or a regular money market account. It's not going to grow faster than inflation. So that's very important. So understand that you need to open your mind to understand other ways to cultivate and grow your money, because if not, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose your money just letting it sit there. And there's a lot of other things that can go into the Rule of 72 and different things, but I won't even go into those right now.
That's what I was looking for, because I'm like, listen, we're bookers, so we love books. So I'm going to share my screen, because there's a book that, as he was talking, a lot of African American children do not know about, and is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep, Robert T. Kiyosaki.
Yes, and they have a children's version.
Oh, they do.
So I'm going to pull up what it looks like. I was trying to find my daughter's and then get mine's, but it didn't work out that way. So I'm just going to pull it up here so you guys get to see what it looks like. And I'm going to attach also the link, because for the children's version, they have it, and I believe for the adults too, you can listen to it on YouTube. But I'm going to show you guys what this book looks like, because it's very important. Because I normally don't get up during my Zooms, and I'm like, oh my goodness, as you're talking, I'm like, oh, I got to show them this book.
It's a few books.
Yes, there's a lot.
I wasn't trying to overwhelm them too much. But Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good book.
And it's a good starter for you guys. And I'm gonna pull up the children. This is what it looks like, guys. I'm gonna pull up the children's, because this breaks it down in a little simpler terms, and everything that he says in the main book, he does it, just a little different. But it's mainly everything in the adult book, or just the book period. So here is the He has a lot of different books, and he's not paying me for this.
There's one for teens. I see in Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens.
Yes, so he's not paying me for this, guys. Okay, this is not an advertisement.
You got a free plug on that, right?
Yes. So look, you guys are teenagers. So he has Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens. He has Rich Kid Smart Kid. And then this is the normal book. He has Audible. So even if you children are not really big on reading, you can listen to it. There's so many different links to listen to it on YouTube. And then Mr. Smith shared with me what was it? The quadrant? The
cash flow quadrant.
Oh, the cash flow quadrant. But like we say, we're not going to drop a lot of stuff on y'all today because this is y'all first lesson in it. But I'm definitely going to.
Got to give them milk first.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to drop you guys some links and add links to this video because I think it would definitely be helpful for you guys to start conditioning your minds and reading. Expand your mind, reading different books, reading leadership books.
I would say on your own time as well, Google the rule of 72 as it relates to finance. That's another rule that you should definitely understand. How long does it take your money to double? You know, how many years would it take your money to double? Just Google that rule of 72. I don't want to put too much on you, but as I was saying earlier, though, understanding that you need to understand more than what the banks are offering to you.
Right.
Otherwise, you're losing money just letting it sit there.
Because we want to be the banks. That's the goal, right? We want to be the bank.
We're working on something.
Yeah, we want to be the bank, okay? So we don't want to keep going to the bank. We want the people to come to us. We want
exactly. Be the lender, not the borrower, right?
You took the words right out of my mouth because I was just about to say the Bible says we are the lenders, not the borrowers. So that is the goal, to cultivate you guys and then to start getting you guys thinking differently while you're still in middle school, while you're still in high school. So when you go to college, you know, some people may not decide to go to college because of financial reasons. Some people may go get a trade. I'm just going to tell you, just start doing your research and see what is financially, and that's why this Rich Dad Poor Dad is so awesome, because he compares a parent going to college and being poor and a parent not going to college and being wealthy. Even though it's Rich Dad Poor Dad, Mr. Smith explained the difference between rich and wealthy, but the rich dad was actually wealthy. He was an entrepreneur, had own business and things like that, and he was better off than the dad who went to college. Okay, so like I said earlier, and Mr. Smith said, we're not going to dump too much on you, but he gave you guys some very good tips on what to look up, and I'm going to, in the description box, post the links to both books. And, you know, the straight link to Amazon, if you guys want to get it from Amazon, wherever you want to get it from, if you want to do the Audible download, but just start looking into different things, looking into different trades.
Unless y'all want that 5 cents.
Listen, I know I don't want the 5 cents. You know what? I'm a 5%.
6 cents would be nice.
That's going to be my new name. I'm a 5%er. I'm on top of the.
Understand how money works. Listen, yeah. I'm trying to tell you. What I was trying to say to you is that one part I kind of left off when I didn't finish up was that when you look at it per hour, if I said $100 an hour and I said that was $192,000 a year and you thought it was a decent amount of money, well, you know, when you look at, you know, I will just say this. There are people out here that will do a sale. We'll use the sales industry, for example, right? We'll use the insurance industry. All right. I was a regional director with a life insurance firm. I won't say the name. But what happened was, in 1 hour, it takes me to sit down to talk to someone. I got so good where I could do it in about 20, 30 minutes. In 20, 30 minutes, I was able to do, give or take, $1,000 in about 20, 30 minutes. All right. $1,000 in 20, 30 minutes. And I did that for about 3 years. So imagine if you're getting paid $100 an hour, which, you know, most people don't. But it does say you get paid $100 an hour. I can sit down 20, 30 minutes and do the $1,000, and which is 10 hours of that work. So it's a different mindset of understanding. Look at, if you like music, look at some of these musicians or these artists. They will go out and they will perform a show. They will do a show and they'll perform on stage, and they'll get paid $500,000 for $500,000 for about 3 hours to 4 hours worth of performance. And their actual performance is not that long. It's just the whole show is roughly that long. But I'm just saying their performance. So let's just say in 4 hours they make $500,000 in 4 hours, while some people are only making $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour, $100 an hour, because there's different levels to understanding how money works. And then no level is a bad level. I don't care if you're working making minimum wage. You have to start somewhere. But always try to educate yourself to take it to the next level and understand that no one's better than you. We all, Jay-Z said, everyone has genius level talent. It's just tapping into it and using it. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that y'all understand that. Stay encouraged, stay educated, and make sure that you dive into financial literacy. And definitely, like Shanika said, go and check out Rich Dad Poor Dad is a great addition to what I just said. It will reinforce everything. And I hope that see y'all at the top.
Yes, we're gonna be 5%ers. That's what our goal is. That's why we're securing the seed. And your mind is a very, very powerful tool. So what you put inside. The other day we talked about healthy living, right? So just think about your mind being your stomach, and the more positive things and the more educational things that you put in there, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, when you put crap inside of there, what happens? You get all kind of diseases and all of this other kind of stuff, and it's really not good for your body. You can't breathe if you walk, and it's just messy. So think of your brain being your stomach. Start feeding your brain some good things, especially when it comes to your money. Because I'm telling you, had I known a lot of the things that I know now about money when I was younger, I would have made a lot of different decisions. But we're here now. We're in 2020. So I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. We're just going to keep it moving because we're going for the 5%. That's it.
Yes,
That's what we're going to be. And when y'all see us, y'all going to be like, I remember. Yup. So if you get on board now, and then definitely think about entrepreneurship, because I love the work smarter, not harder. Just think about the fact that one of the things that helped me tremendously, I never was an employee. I could never really be an employee because I just always wanted so much more. But to hear someone say it was like a light bulb to me. So one day Mr. Smith told me, he was like, I would never hire you. I was like, what? I was like, because I do have a lot of problems. When I actually do get a job, I have problems because they know that I'm too great to be there. So they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, why are you here? It's like volunteering. And when he said, I won't hire you, he was like, because you're someone that can't be capped. And that's how I've always been. I've always had a hustler mentality, whether it was bad or good. So I've always had the hustler mentality. I'm from New York, so I was always just getting it. And then I had to realize, growing up, not doing certain things, and making sure I made more of a positive impact in the way my income was coming in. But I want you guys to definitely think about the fact that with the work is smarter, not harder, the same amount of blood, sweat, and tears you pour into an employer to get that check every week, every 2 weeks, and this and that and the third. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But guess what? While you in your mama's house, this is the best time to do it. This is the best time to start making all the mistakes and all of that. So that way, when you get in the dealt, now, boom, your business is skyrocketing. Because if I would have did some of those things when I was younger, man, I would have been a rocket ship. Y'all got the advantage right now.
I want to say this because I know they like the Yeezys, right? So I want to say this. I would use Kanye's.
In the 5%.
I'll use Kanye as a topic. As of yesterday, at the time of this recording, as of yesterday, Kanye is now verified by Forbes as being a billionaire with a B. So a billionaire at $1.3 billion. So Jay-Z did it first officially. He's a billionaire from music industry. But the reason why I want to say Kanye, we'll talk about Kanye, is because not too long ago Kanye was in debt for over $50 million in debt. He was financially down, in debt, over 50 million negative net worth. And to see him bounce back in such a short time, now to be worth over $1.3 billion. I mean, his last year's revenue was over 150 million just last year, just for the year. And now his net worth overall, net worth is how you calculate net worth is you take everything that you own, the value of it, and then you subtract everything that you owe. So once you subtract everything that you owe and you add up everything that you do own, the value of it, and that gives you your net worth. And then if it's a company, it's a little bit more to it than that. But at the end of the day, that's the gist of how you calculate net worth. So at the end of the day, Kanye is worth 1.3 billion. But he went through adversity. He went through being down, out, financially destitute, and now look where he's at. And that's a great testament to never giving up and always staying focused. But you can never get 1.3 billion and working for someone else in an hourly check. Not saying it's bad. It's just there's other options.
There are other options. So definitely think smarter while you're young and living in your parents' homes. Start now. This is the best time to start, especially going through a pandemic. Just start writing your things down, writing your ideas down. The Bible says write it down, make it plain. Start putting that stuff on paper. Start exploring. Start reaching out to people. Because let me tell you something, while you're young, there's a lot of things you don't have to pay for when you're young. Because when you're a youth, people feel excited for you, so they just want to help you. You know what I'm saying? You might not have to pay for certain things.
Innocence.
Yeah, you're so innocent. And they're like, I'm not gonna charge you to do a logo. I'm not gonna charge you for a website. What kind of, they have a heart for you. They're not gonna charge you to give you choreography and all of that stuff all the time. But I just definitely, and I definitely appreciate Mr. Smith for coming on here and speaking to you guys today. So once again, I'm going to post the links down at the bottom, and I'm also going to include Mr. Smith's business information, being that he has main social media. So main social media can help you with all your marketing needs. So like I said, being that we're young, you're still young, just start tapping around, start looking into what you want to do, because it don't matter what business you're going to do, you're going to need marketing. Period.
Definitely.
You're going to need marketing.
Listen, this pandemic.
You can just be a YouTuber. You're still gonna need marketing being a YouTuber, okay?
Because pandemic really shows up how much you really definitely need marketing, and you have to be able to adapt. I mean, definitely. But as I said, we definitely want to see the best for y'all and see y'all succeeding, and just open your minds to different things.
And we're going to come back. I'm going to have him back on, and we talked about financial literacy, but we're going to pick one, because I want him to talk to you guys about the cash flow quadrant next.
Yes, we can talk about that.
We're going to pick different topics, and we're going to have him come back on and talk, because I definitely believe pouring this into our African-American children. We're going
to have to do this, the next one. If we do a video one, we have to do one at the office. And I'll bring out the easel. Yeah, we could write up. We could write everything out, and I can actually draw it out so that.
I'm telling you, he's a beast. I'm just saying. I be in them meetings like.
They bring your paper and pencil.
Y'all gonna have to sit at the computer literally with a paper and pencil and be like, oh wow, that makes sense, So once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good day.
Have a great one.